This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the dawn here in the northeast corner of the world's most magnificently beautiful country. That is South Africa. My name is James Henry, and this is Safari Live.
Ready.
Standing by.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Well, it's an ominous day here. You can see that the clouds are scudding over from the southeast. They've covered the risen sun, but there's a little beautiful pinkish orange glow there, isn't there, Brian? Brian is on camera, everybody, today. What is the thumb this morning, Brian?
Business as usual.
Business as usual thumb. Wonderful. On the other vehicle, Tayla is driving around with the sort of hungry-looking figure of Willem Doornbrack, and in the final control, Louise Pavid is in my ear, and I think she's being ably assisted by Kirsten McSmith. That is the team for the morning. You, of course, are the most important part of the team, and we'd love you to talk to us. Hashtag Safari Live if you're on Twitter. Questions at wildearth.tv if you're on the email. There are no other methods of communicating with us at the moment. So those are the two best ways to talk to us. We are very sorry that the damn cam was not in a functional state last night. Not sure why. We'll get the dangerous Russian onto it as we speak. I did hear the sound of Brian's best friend. What was it doing, Brian? Let's see if we can find them. Those are, of course, the southern ground hornbills, everybody. I was taking a picture of the sun, as my mother complains I always do, but that's okay. Isn't it, Brian? For I'm almost 40, therefore I don't have to do what my mummy says anymore. No. Almost out of the house. All right, we will try and find the ground hornbills. While we do that, Tayla has got something much taller than her and Willem combined.
Good morning and welcome to a fantastic sunrise safari. Though not much of a sunrise today, but as you all know, my name is Tayla, and on camera with me we've got Willem. There he is. Now, I'm quite impressed. We've stumbled across. We literally just crawled out of DRC, and then we came onto quarantine, where a wonderful herd of 5 giraffe seem to be moving across the open plains. How spectacular is that? Now, what I'd like to do is I actually want to get up ahead very quickly, just because the others are crossing the open plain, and we can move away from this little thicket. So let's do that, and then we'll wait for the big fella who you saw at the end to catch up with the rest of them. Now, I haven't had an opportunity just yet to sex the giraffe, but we shall have a look at them now. But I suspect there's 1 or 2 females in this little journey of giraffe. Let's find a good spot. I'm going to keep going up a little bit further. You can see them there, just because they seem to be moving a little bit further south, and I don't want to keep starting all the time. So we'll try and play them at their own game, and we'll wait for them here. There we go. That's nice. So there's the 4 of them. And then, of course, you saw that big fella who is creeping up from behind. And like James said, we can hear those hornbills again this morning. How exciting is that? Imagine if we could have 2 consecutive sightings in a row. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Oh, look at that giraffe on the left. Now, when you're tall, when you stand as tall as 5.5 meters, because that's how big a male giraffe could grow, sometimes it's hard to find scratching posts. And now that female, you can see she's got very slender ossicones. Also, you can look for the very ladylike bits. She's definitely taking advantage of scratching herself on that fallen tree that the elephants kindly mowed over. Now they're having a little snack, just a little nibble. See how they keep looking behind them. Now all the giraffe are looking there. Oh, I've seen what they're looking at. They're looking at James. James is on the other side. You can see the male giraffe, how he's staring off in the distance. And there we go, you can actually see James. Is that James? Yes, it's James. He's just enjoying the giraffe from a distance. And the giraffe are enjoying him from a distance, it seems, though, this morning. Now, it's quite windy today, so I don't know how long these giraffe are going to stay out in the open for. Perhaps they're going to move off into denser vegetation. I think that looks like they're going straight down over the open area, down towards that very dense drainage where there's lots of food, all those trees with those new green shoots on them. I think that's going to be quite nice for them. If I was a giraffe, that's where I'd be heading for breakfast. As I'm done eating all these old, dry, very unfavorable leaves, and I'm going to go for all the nice green shoots that are coming through. But it's so beautiful to hear the chorus of those hornbills. Look at all of them now. They're all going to feed off the same tree, munching away. Now finally the giraffe actually have an opportunity to utilize their long necks and those long tongues. Look at that. See how it reached up and stretched its tongue up in order to pull the branches down. Now that tongue is very strong. It's not quite as sensitive as I think our tongues. Remember, when they are feeding, they're having to feed around lots of thorns. So I suspect that it's a lot tougher than our tongues. Maybe something like the hands of a gardener. You always look at the gardener and they're able to pick up a variety of different things and not worry about the thorns too much. And I think the tongue of a giraffe is done something quite similar. Now, this big male that's come through here, look at him. See how he towers over everybody else. There are two juveniles in this herd as well. You can see another young male just to the right of him. And then, of course, it looks like there's two females. And I didn't quite get a look. Well, I wasn't concentrating, sorry, on that other one. We are live, just in case you are wondering. We are in Africa, and more specifically, we are on Duma Private Game Reserve, which is situated in the Sabi Sand. So if you'd like to chat with myself or James this morning, we'd love to hear from you. You can either do that by hashtagging Safari Live on Twitter, or else you can comment on the YouTube channel too. And you are even welcome to send us an email if you'd prefer it, and that is questions@wildearth.tv, and we'll happily try and answer as many of your questions as we can. But isn't this a great way to start the morning? Giraffe feeding, like I said, and that chorus of the hornbills is always beautiful. There's lots of impala around. You can't see them. They're all heading into the thicker vegetation now. They were so close to my bedroom this morning, I thought they wanted to join in and cuddle. It's a bit chilly. Now, unfortunately, we did have a bit of a storm come over. We had lightning brewing, a bit of thunder, which is, as you know, not my favorite. However, I stuck it out, and then it blew over. The wind picked up quite a bit, and that was it. Look at that. See those clouds there? But I suspect with this wind, that it's maybe going to blow it away. The clouds seem to be moving quite quickly. I'm going to move forward again as well to have one last look. I think these giraffe could be coming back towards us. I'm just going to start up and move a few meters forward. Let's do that. Let's see. Ah, yes. Now we've got a very nice clear view of the giraffe. That's what I wanted, all huddled up together. Oh, that's a beautiful picture. Right. Here we go. I think it's the first time. Sorry, I've parked a little, pulled off the road slightly in case somebody wants to jump. Oh, look at this male now. You can see that female is using the luxury facilities. Oh, look at that phlegm and grimace. This is a particularly good one. See how that male has curled his lip right up over his nostrils. Now, what he's doing, I know most of you are quite used to seeing something like this, but quite often we have lots of new viewers. Probably wondering, what on earth was that giraffe doing? So that's called the phlegm and grimace. And he uses the Jacobson organ, which is situated sort of between the nostrils and I suppose his top lip. And he uses that organ to be able to test and see if a female is coming into estrus. So they'll actually directly test the urine and then pass that scent through the Jacobson organ. Now we used to have a Jacobson organ, but unfortunately we lose it as a fetus. And I think it would be quite bizarre if we did that, so thank goodness we don't do what the giraffe do. What do you think? Are you quite happy? No? He doesn't seem too impressed just yet. I think otherwise he would have been hot on the heels of that female. And this is what typically happens, is you have these big males coming through, and occasionally you'll see the groups of females, and he'll just tail them, test the females, see if they're coming into estrus. If there's not anyone particularly around, well then he'll probably give them a skip and carry on with his day. Isn't this lovely? And it's nice to see them passing all these big trees too, because it really does give you an idea of how tall these creatures really are and how they indeed tower over everything. So I hope you've all made your cup of coffee. Oh, that's lovely. That's a nice picture. Have 4 giraffe in a row. That's beautiful. So, like I said, I hope you've all had your coffee and warming up and waking up. Oh, hello. Sorry, everyone, you may have heard Louise chatting away there. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with my little mixer box. It's quite interesting this morning. So occasionally you may hear little yelps coming from Final Control. Don't worry. Now they know they can't say anything bad to me because everyone could hear them. I'm only teasing. They never really say anything bad. So Aaron, good morning to you. I'm going to just try and keep moving. Oh, no, you've got a little bit of a shot. We'll try and catch them again. So Aaron from New Zealand was wondering where the largest populations of giraffe are. Now, I'm not exactly sure on numbers, but I think here in South Africa, we've got a pretty good population of the southern giraffe. I think we could perhaps have some of the denser species, but I wonder about Kenya as well with the Maasai. I'm not 100% certain. I'll have to have a look, but I suspect that it could be the southern giraffe down in South Africa. That would be my guess. Right, but let's try and keep up with them. This is actually quite beautiful. Like I said, it's quite unusual. Well, since I've been here, now I may change my mind on that statement, that we see these wonderful giraffe in such big groups. Now, when I was guiding down in the Eastern Cape, now it wasn't an open system like this. So when I say open system, no fences. I mean, well, there are fences here, but we're on 8 million acres of land. I mean, that's bigger than some countries. And I worked on a reserve that was probably the equivalent of about 25,000, no, even more, maybe about 30,000 acres or so, maybe slightly more. And there's a nice little view of them all munching. And down there, they introduced quite a few giraffe. At one point, I witnessed 30 giraffe together, which was quite spectacular. And I was actually on a bushwalk. So you can imagine my guests were overjoyed when we came around the corner and we had 30 heads looking at us, sort of saying, "Oi, what are you doing over here?" That was quite nice. And there we go. That female's not hanging around. She darted off for some bizarre reason. And something that I did with them, which was quite amazing, as I said to my guests, I just had one couple that was on a walk with me, and I said, right, let's zigzag. And they said, let's what? And I said, you heard me right, zigzag. And what's quite interesting is that if you see a group of giraffe in the distance, they obviously need to be in the distance, and they need to see that you're there. You don't want to try. Not that I've ever met anybody that could sneak up to a giraffe. I've got very good eyesight. However, if you zigzag like this, so you walk, then you turn back, and you walk again, and you turn back. And then eventually, after a while, you sit down on the ground. The giraffe is sort of a little bit confused by this, and they come closer, but sort of quite curious. And you just sit there quietly. When I say closer, I mean they don't walk a meter away from you, and you can touch them on the feet type of thing. But you know, they get within 20, 30 meters of you, and then they just stand and look. And to have so many giraffe doing all of that, babies, big ones, small ones, males, you name it, it was so special. But unfortunately, the giraffe are disappearing. I'm just having a look. They're going off into some thick vegetation. Now you can see that male as he towers over all the shrubbery. You can see the lovely green coming through that we've all been chatting about. Now, as great as it is to have all this wonderful vegetation, it means that our views are going to be obscured quite a bit. And as you just saw, the animals are going to disappear a lot quicker. But never fear, we will find something else. I forgot to tell you what I wanted to do this morning. Well, my plan and VM's plan, what were we going to do? Oh, we were going to check the northern boundary. I had a moment, my brain sort of stopped working, stopped breathing. And we're going to check the northern boundary to see if my favorite lion pride, the Nkuhumas, have come back. I missed them over my 10 days, and I believe they've been phenomenal as usual, killing all the buffalo. Not quite all the buffalo, but a few of them, which is quite quite funny. Oh, let's see if I'm going to just try and go back quickly. Let's quickly see if I can. Oh no. Okay, never mind. Of course, typical when I want to show you something, the birds fly away. Yeah, I did see an emerald spotted wood dove, and I thought it may be a nice view. Now I'm going to make my way towards Cheetah Cutline, and then head straight north, and then along Buffels Hook Cutline. And while I make my way there, let's go back to James and see if he's found those hornbills.
I'm afraid we have not found the hornbills, everybody. I think they're in this block somewhere over here. They're probably now gone to ground as the light has come, and they're looking for things to eat. Delicious bits of rotting meat, perhaps the odd hapless tortoise, that sort of thing. I'm glad I don't have to eat tortoise for breakfast. What about you, Brian?
Yeah, I'm also.
Yes. I find that distasteful, I feel. Now, we are heading on to Zoe's Road, and I believe, Kim, you were hoping we'd check on Pinchy Weiner and see if he was there. We are going to do that. We're not far from Pinchy's old haunt. The only thing that might preclude us seeing whether he's there or not is the radio communications, but we're going to go down there and test if they're working. I think they should be on the current channel that we're on now. Otherwise, not a great deal going on here so far. Hello, Nicole. You say, is this the biggest reserve in Africa? No, it isn't, but it's not far off. So we're in what we call the Greater Limpopo Transfrontier Park. That's made up of the Kruger National Park in South Africa, the Limpopo National Park in Mozambique, and the Gonaruzu National Park in Zimbabwe, and they're all joined up, and together they are 3.5 million hectares, or 8.5 million acres or so, and they are still 1.5 million hectares, or 4 million, what would that be? Yeah, roughly 4 million acres shy of the size of the Selous, which I think is Africa's largest national park. That's in Tanzania, and it's 5 million hectares, which is, of course, about 10.8 million acres. So that's quite a lot, really. It's quite an enormous park. Brent did a lot of work there for, well, sometime during his youth. You know, well, he's still fairly youthful, but he spent some time there, and I think that's the biggest. The Mara Serengeti ecosystem is smaller than this. That's 2 million, well, we say that it's probably about the same size, because of course there are no fences around any of those Tanzanian or Kenyan parks. It's just a boundary that the kind of bleeds into, if you like. It bleeds into rural areas where rural people live. But I wonder, I'm not sure if there's another East African park of comparable size. So the Kruger might be almost the second largest, but I think some of the Zambian parks, and if you combine the Okavango, the Chobe, and the Savuti areas, which I think they're attempting to make a transfrontier park into Zambia as well, and probably into Zimbabwe, that whole agglomeration there is probably nigh on 5 million hectares as well, or 10.8 million acres. So I think in a long and roundabout way, the Kruger Park is certainly not the biggest, but it's pretty close to it. There is a duiker. Good grief. The duiker has run away, Brian. It was going to be our first mammal of the day. No, not our first. Have you got it? Oh, what a fantastic duiker shot. Shall I go backwards? Or is it gone? How depressing. Do you feel depressed, Brian? Now this particular area we're in seems to be Koki Franklin Central. They are spending a lot of time shouting around here. There's one just up ahead. I can hear it. We'll stop and see if we can spot it before we continue south. No tracks as yet of anything. Well, nothing substantial. No. I think our Cokie Franklin's going to be in this little clearing here. It's a very windy, strange morning, everyone. It's a kind of morning where you kind of want to be hidden behind a bush or in a hole or in some thick riverine vegetation. No, alas, we have no evidence of Cokie Franklin anymore. Gone to ground they have. Let's keep going. Ah, Impala, Brian. Excellent. We'll just go and have a look at them and ask them if they've seen any leopards. Of course, the main reason for checking the southern boundary will be to try and find Karula the Queen and her young babies. There we are, Brian. Impala running off into the bushes. And in the background, the red-crested kohan. You can hear some grey-headed sparrows going. Choop, 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 choop. Long-billed crombeck. Choo choo, choo choo, choo choo. What sounds like, but I'm pretty sure isn't, a scimitar bill going. There, it's a cuckoo. It's coming closer. There's another one. Let me just sneak forward. I think it's in that tall marula tree over there, Brian. I'm not sure which cuckoo it is. You see that tall marula tree on the right-hand side? I believe it there. It's flying. It is. It's in the top there. I'm just going to sneak forward. It's a cuckoo, everyone, but I don't recognize the call. That's not to say that it is an unusual cuckoo, but it is to say that I don't know the call. There it is. It's not a cuckoo at all. It's a black-headed oriole. Obviously. It's up there. I don't know why I missed that. It's a slightly different call that happens at the breeding season. It's not quite that liquid call. Anyway, it was there. Alright, Taylor's got a bird that she can identify very easily, so let's go and find out what that is.
Now, this bird needs absolutely no introduction. As you know, it's a crested barbet, but I don't want to say too much. I want you to listen to what's going on. I know you just listened to the dawn chorus, but listen to how spectacular this is. Turn that volume up. Amazing, right? Look at it. It's just hopped up a little bit higher. Where did you go now? He's right on the edge. And I hope you turned your volume up as loud as it can go. And I hope you're also sitting there envious that all of us that are living out here in the bush get to wake up to this magical sound. Now, it's quite busy where I'm sitting at the moment. I'm in a drainage line. Well, not quite a drainage line. I'm on the outskirts of a drainage line, just having a little scan to perhaps see if I can't see any leopard footprints that were coming through while I'm on my way towards Buffelshoek Cutline and Cheetah Cutline. Nothing so far, but it's quite nice when you come across all these lovely birds, and we always have a good chuckle as to we always seem to find the most birds on the cloudy, gloomy days when it's not always great for picture to find the birds. Oh, hang on, sorry, I think I've shuffled my mics here. I have to hide my microphone in and amongst my hair. Oh, no. Okay. Okay. I don't know what happened. Is it? Can you hear me? Sorry, everyone. Wait. Now? Is that better? Right. We always have these technical difficulties. Sometimes my mic pack it mutes itself, so I do apologize against my pocket and my pants. But as I was saying, it's strange how we always have the best birding days. What is a bird? A birding days on the cloudy days, and unfortunately, it doesn't always make for great picture. But like VM just said, rather the grey of a leadwood tree than the grey of the sky at the moment. It makes it a little bit easier. There's also some turtle doves. I don't think you'll get a great view of them. But they're sitting up in the... There they are, up in the top of the tree. Oh no, that's not a turtle dove. That's an... What? I wonder what bird this is. I'm not going to say anything, but it's not a turtle dove. You can hear the turtle dove calling. But here's a quiz for everybody who is watching. What bird are we currently looking at? And it's currently looking back at us, so you've now got a full view of this bird. This is an easy one. I don't know if I'm going to do an entire bird quiz today, but we'll just see. I just want to see if there's anybody alive and out there, because everybody seems to be hiding away from us this morning. So I hope you managed to take a screenshot, maybe share it on Twitter just in case somebody missed it, and they can also join in on the bird quiz. So you can do the hashtag Safari Live, or you can email us with your answers to questions@wildearth.tv. But we're going to carry on now. That was a very easy one. I'm sure that there will be a flood of correct answers coming in. Well, I'm hoping to hear from anybody that is watching us out there. Right, now, the reason why I wanted to come through and check some of these drainage lines is that it's a very good spot to find leopards. They like to move in and around dry riverbeds as well as the drainage. Gives them a bit of cover. We've got a little wallow over here. Let's just have a look. Let's see if there's anything here. Now, I'm going to come give you a nice look. This would potentially be a good spot now for a leopard to come and drink while they were out on their patrol. But, alas, there's nothing here, unfortunately, this morning. Something could have popped around to have a little drink. As well as if we hadn't had too much rain, I wouldn't be surprised if we'd find a hippo in something like that. I've seen lots of hippo tracks as well while we're moving around. Right. Ooh. Well done, Steph, Jennifer, David, and many others who have got the answer correct. Well done to everybody who guessed African green pigeon. You are indeed correct. And they are lovely birds. My favorite time to see the African green pigeon is actually when you find a fig tree that's in fruit, and you've got an abundance of birds hanging around trying to pick and find the right fruits. Now, that's quite comical when you've got a group of them fighting over the figs. Now, you can see the elephants have created this wonderful roadblock in front of us. So I'm going to very quickly jump out. I need to try and move it and get rid of some of the clutter. And while I do that, I'm sure you'd enjoy watching me move the branch out of the way, but we'd rather not. Let's go back to James and see how his search is going.
Brian and I have rather skillfully found a view of the sun, haven't we, Brian? No one else could have achieved this, could they? No, not with the same level of precision that we did. I'm, of course, talking absolute nonsense, but that's quite a nice scene there. And if you were to imagine it in time-lapse, you would see those sort of rays of light dancing across the sky. They'd be moving off towards the north with that front. Isn't that cool? That's actually really quite amazing. Now, I don't think that this is going to bring us much rain. I think it's just going to bring us bluster, probably the 1 or 2 droplets, but it's certainly not going to dump down on us this morning. And I think we'll probably be in for a relatively warm midday. I'm not sure what the weather report says. At the moment, I would put the temperature at roughly, I think 16 or 17 degrees, so around about 61 to 63 degrees Fahrenheit. For those of you still operating on the imperial system. That really is quite stunning. I'm told it's 18 and 64 by those in the final control. I think that's probably accurate, but for the wind, which is quite chilly. This is very artful of you, Brian. I must say, I mean, despite the fact that you've suffered some tremendous allergies from the dust today, very, very artful shots.
Thank you.
Let us continue. I've heard no calling of lions, no sawing of leopards, no yelling of elephants. In fact, very little in the way of large game evidence. Hello, Dispatch Griffin. It has been a while, I believe, since I've heard from you, and a name like that one can't really forget, can one, Brian? No, Dispatch Griffin. Dispatch Griffin, you're saying, where are all the nyalas? You haven't seen any for a while, they're your favourite. They're around, we saw some this morning. They're not in any less abundance than they are normally. I'm not sure why you haven't been seeing them, but we saw some this morning, and they were, in fact, just before we came live, and then they went knocking off into the bushes. But we saw quite a few this morning playing with some impala and lurking around a buffalo. So they are around. I will try and find you sometime during the course of the day. That is Dispatch Griffin, everybody. Sending a dispatch from the ether. Now we're nearing the home of Mr. P. Weiner. That's interesting too. And a request all the way from New Zealand, where Aaron is saying that she would like to see a waterbuck because she says she feels like it's been a while since we've seen one. I've been back for one drive. We certainly didn't see one yesterday. We saw every other kind of general game, but there were no waterbucks. That's interesting. I suspect that when Taylor's doing the cheetah cut line a little bit later on today, she will probably find a waterbuck over there. There are many of them there. There are many of impala on the left-hand side. I'm just going to try and cover a little bit of ground, see if we don't get a bit closer. And I see that shikra's nest seems to have been abandoned. I'll just make the call quickly, but I'm pretty sure that it's been abandoned. The sun, at least the wind, the moving air's the wind, isn't it, Brian? The sun's the other thing.
Well done, James.
Thank you. I'm a great naturalist. What was I going to say? About the wind. It's starting to blow quite strongly. I'm just quickly going to find the shikra and see if we can't call it. Right, the shikra, everybody, little goshawk that used to live in that nest. Very briefly. That's the call you can hear now. But I'm playing it. And I was rather hoping that they'd be there incubating some eggies. So the last time I did this, it didn't work. The time before that I did this, they came flying. They arrived here. No. No shikras. Alright, shut up now. Right. No shikras, I'm afraid. Anyway, that was their little nest. Doesn't look like a very comfortable home, does it, Brian? It'd be spiky in the bottom if you had to sit in that. You must also check on Mr. and Mrs. Wahlberg's. Must be almost time for their chicks to hatch. Okay. There, no, it was this fork-tailed drongo. Very unexciting. Let's continue. Every time I come past a slightly discoloured piece of marula tree, I think, oh, there's a leopard that's put something in here. It isn't, in fact, a leopard that's put anything in there. It is just a piece of wood. But you can see, Brian, if you were not looking very carefully and you were desperately hopeful for a carcass to be hanging from a tree, well, that might be it. Yes. Also, if you were semi-blind. Right, Pinchy Whiner's home is just round the corner here. Now, for those of you who don't know, perhaps Pinchy Whiner was a freshwater crab, might still be a freshwater crab, named for Mark Whiner. We didn't want to call it Mark, though, so we gave it another name, Pinchy. He has a companion on Twin Dams Road, which we should probably check on, called Squeezy Dyson. And Squeezy Dyson I haven't seen for some time either. But we think Pinchy Whiner unfortunately met his end when a buffalo sat on him. Or certainly sat on his home. Here he is here. Now. Well, things don't look good for him, do they, Brian? In fact, they look very poor indeed. That was his home, everyone. That little hole there, what we shall do is just... well, there's a harvested termite in front of his home. Can you see the harvested termite, Brian? There. Got him there?
Yep.
Looks like a little kogolochi. Unfortunately, everybody, Pinchy Whiner's home looks to have been taken over by some spiders, which indicates to me that Pinchy is no longer in residence at all. Yes. I think Pinchy has passed on to crab heaven, I'm afraid. That little spot in the sky where fish are abundant and buffalo don't sit on your burrow. Pinchy! There's not enough water here really to say for sure if he's passed on or shaken off this mortal coil, popped his clogs, pushing up daisies. But I think that he probably has. Let's wait, though. I'm not going to touch his home too much. We put this leaf back in case he put it there to block the place. And maybe when the water comes, he too will emerge. I don't know that we've ever actually caught him other than very briefly on camera. Just his pincers disappearing back into the hole. Right, let me get back in the car. Plug myself in. Okay, on we go. Oh. As Louise says, we're going to have a moment of silence for Pinchy, and while we do that, let's head across to Tayla, who has got something much more living.
Sorry. I'm hearing lots of Louise. I don't know why this is leaking. However, I've managed to find something else that's other than a bird. And we've got some elephants, which is my favorite animal. And I know I keep telling you how much I absolutely love the elephants. But what is not to love about them? And I'm so envious that you saw that tiny new little elephant the other day. I watched all the highlights. I saw all your screenshots. It was absolutely beautiful. And I was envious, but so happy for Jamie at the same time. What a special sighting that was. Now, I think this is the same herd of elephants that caused lots and lots of roadblocks. I think we've maybe driven about 200 or 300 meters, and it's taken me about 10 minutes because I've had to move so many branches off the road, and I suspect these are the culprits. Now, it seems to be quite a big herd. This little group are slightly sort of separated from the rest of them, but as we were driving along, we saw quite a few elephants darted everywhere. But it's always better to view them in groups, I think, rather than on their own. Unless it's a ginormous elephant bull, then that's quite special. They create enough of a presence to just be on their own. Oh, listen. Did you hear that? Let's see if they all carry on. No. So they're rumbling there. Like I said, the rest of the herd is all spread out. So I suspect that we are going to hear a little bit of rumbling while we're here, just so that they can keep communicating with the rest of the members. Now, it's quite spectacular how elephants are able to communicate over long distances. And one thing that is quite amazing is their feet. Now, unfortunately, we haven't got any elephant feet to show you right now because they're all hiding behind all the bushes. But you've seen those lovely big feet, all that thick padding. Now, those are also equipped with sensory nerves. Can you believe it? Amongst all that fatty tissue that's in their foot, there are little sensory nerves which are able to pick up on those subtle vibrations that are sort of passing through the earth, which I think is quite amazing. The elephants are behaving strangely like giraffe today, how they're all stretching up and reaching for the top of the branches. Can you see that? Ooh. They're all pulling the trees down. I don't know where to look. That one's having a great time as well. I don't know if we'll see this one. You'll see them there. Even the little ones trying to pick up on the scraps. Bless you, VM. VM just sneezed, so I hope you all said bless you. Or you can hashtag bless you. I don't know. You're allergic to elephants. Even Louise, as you heard, said bless you. Thank you, Louise. We'd like a tissue, though. Can we get one brought out to us? No, I'm just joking. We're a little bit far away. I'm sorry, you're hearing all of our conversation now. So you can see how Louise talks lots and lots and lots to us in our ears while we're trying to concentrate. Louise, I can't multitask. No, we're loving the elephants, though. Look at this little one. Now, look how it very carefully pulls those little new leaves that you can see coming through there. Oh, now it's actually not doing it very delicately. It looks like it's struggling slightly. Come on, you can do it. It looks like a young knobthorn. Now, I wouldn't do that if I was that elephant because I'd end up with lots and lots of thorns. But like the giraffe tongue that we were talking about earlier this morning, the elephant's trunk and their tongue is also well equipped to all the pokey things and all the thorns, anything else that may harm them with that thicker skin. Here we go. That works better if you just pull a little bit off at a time. Now, it doesn't seem like there's too much grass anymore. It seems to have been eaten. Ooh. Wow, sorry, I'm just listening to Louise. That is quite spectacular. So Louise just whispered in my ear, and thanks, Jason, for commenting. You were wondering if we've seen any buffalo, any injured buffalo around, because you saw an elephant, I think, have a go at one yesterday on the dam cam. That's quite spectacular. I've only ever seen video footage of elephants, taking on other animals. And I wouldn't mess with an elephant. I mean, even though a buffalo is quite spectacular in size, got the beautiful horns. However, I think size does matter in the bush. So, wow, I'm going to definitely keep an eye out for that. And we'll have a look. But as of yet, I haven't seen anything. We've just with these wonderful elephants. Now, I can just see more and more coming out of the thicket. And I think this is the first time since I've been here in a month. That I've actually seen the elephants disappearing behind all the brush. It's been so nice and open, but it's good. You can see everybody's very calm and very relaxed. They haven't even taken too much notice that we're in the sighting with them. And they're just happily here, just munching away, eating a variety of different things. Like I said, it looks like the grass has sort of reached its peak. It doesn't seem to be growing too much now. However, with all those lovely leaves coming out, that's no problem. The elephants will take full advantage of all the lovely luscious leaves, as will the rest of the browsers. I'm quite interested to see what happens today as well, because these clouds are moving out and away quickly, and I'm just starting to see the sun poking through the clouds. Maybe we'll have a look, because it's quite pretty. See, those clouds are moving, and then it's going to get brighter. Look at that. There's the sun. You can also see those clouds moving away, and I think it's going to be warm today. I don't think it's going to be as hot as it was yesterday. Here we go. But perhaps we will have a warmer day, which will be quite nice. And we know that the elephants absolutely love it. You can hear all the elephants breaking the branches in the distance. They seem to be tearing down an African wattle at the moment, but we'll show you. They're quite naughty. You can see that one over there is having a right go at all the elephants. Not at all the elephants, at all the African wattles. There it is. A bit difficult to see. See how well grey camouflage is too. Now, if you look at the branches that the elephant's eating, it's only choosing the younger branches where that bark is quite soft, because on an African wattle, the tree, the main trunk of the tree is very, very, very dense. It's quite hard. It sort of resembles the bark of a, so there we go, you can see it just growing in amongst all those other branches. Now that's not very tasty. So if you reach up to the top like this elephant's been doing and you pull down the younger branches, well then you're still able to feed on that lovely cambium layer, which is what they're after. Let's see what you do now. Now you're being very delicate. You're reaching up, like I said, about to pull. There we go. You'll see it pulled. It's quite difficult, the obstructed view with all the other branches in the way. But they've been enjoying the tree. You can see that red that's exposed on the inner bark of this tree. That one is that looks like a quarry, the branches that we can see that's broken. But behind it and the rest of it is all a African wattle. They're all coming out slowly. We got another young chap coming to visit us, coming out in front. Oh my goodness, there's just elephant after elephant coming out of the bushes behind. You can see another one at the back. They're all coming out. So I suspect it's quite a large herd, and we've been quite lucky to see all the big herds. But I think we need to take full advantage and appreciate the elephants as much as we can, because I suspect they're going to head back south once they feel as though they've eaten their quota up here. Hello, little one. Well, not little one, you're quite large. And look at the elephants, and they all seem to be secreting slightly from the temporal gland. Perhaps they are now excited, because remember, it's an overstimulation of adrenaline. Now, it can be if they're sad, or if they're stressed, or if they're excited. Maybe they're happy for the rains, because there's definitely no shortage of food now. There we go, again with the wattle. Something that we don't chat about very often, which Chris has... was it Chris? Chris Rogue? Yes, it was. I'm not making that up. Hello, Chris. Is how... he would like to know, how well can elephants see on the ground? Now, I always think it's amazing how scientists come up with these theories about animals' eyesight, because as far as I'm aware, you cannot put a pair of elephant eyes in your head and see for yourself. So it always amazes me as to how they go about and come up with these things. Now, elephants don't have bad eyesight, not like a rhino. Unfortunately. Now, elephants seem to be well equipped with all their senses. Obviously, their sense of smell is out of this world, and of course, they've got those lovely big ears, and that allows them to hear very well too. And plus, they've got the sensory nerves in their feet, and they can, I suppose, they hear through their feet as well. They pick up those vibrations, if you will. Now, if you look at their eyes aren't particularly big. They're sort of quite small, situated on the side of their head. So I don't think they've got a very good binocular vision like the birds. They've probably got very good peripheral vision, however. And I reckon they can see what's happening on the ground. They do see in black and white, though, in shades of grey. So it's nothing quite like the birds, how they're able to pick up UV signatures and identify different color rays of light. However, with the elephants, I think they would see what's going on the ground. I mean, look at Ronald the Rover, for example. Whenever the elephants have come down and Ronald has been placed at the edge of the dam, they're very careful about him. I think they smell him, because I think he smells strange, but they don't stand on him. So I think they see him as well. There we go. You can see, I mean, even when the elephant puts its foot down on the ground, you never really see an elephant tripping and falling over. So they must be sort of looking down on the ground as well as they walk. Hello, you coming around? Just having a little smell. Hello, big girl. And here they're all secreting. Almost every single one of them have got that secretion coming from the temporal gland. That's not too bad. It doesn't seem to be leaking profusely. Perhaps it's drying up. You can see, look how carefully she's actually moving through all this wood. There's a big tree that's been pushed over that you can see. There's lots of branches on the way, but she didn't stub her toe once. Goodness, if I'd gone over there and tried to do the same thing as her, and my vision's pretty good, I would have tripped and fallen and embarrassed myself quite a bit. I'm also sure you're all wondering, see how she's pulling that bark off. Why on earth are they eating bark when they've got all this lovely lush vegetation around? We've got to make most of it. Remember, with the elephants, they've got to eat a bit of everything. So even though there is lots of lush vegetation, and definitely the bark eating is going to slow down, they're not going to be doing it as much. It's still there. There's still lots of good nutrients that you can find in the macamium layer. Perhaps some nutrients that we're not even finding in the leaves or in the grasses. And that's why they have to still incorporate some of the stripping of the bark technique into their diet. But it is good to see them so relaxed. Oh, right. I think we've had a wonderful view of this lot of elephants, of this wonderful family. I think let's go across to James and see if perhaps that elephant that he's with would like to introduce itself.
Right, well, there's another elephant, a young elephant bull, everybody, finding his way in the world all alone. He'll find some friends at some stage, but at the moment he's finding some breakfast, which consists largely of what his dinner consisted of, which in turn consists largely of what his lunch consisted of, and that is fresh combretum leaves, which will be fairly rich in tannin, so he won't want to eat too many of those before he moves on and sees what else he can find. Might also be able to hear the scimitar in the background. And also a lovely call of the black-crowned chagra. So cool. We also found, everyone, a golden-tailed woodpecker's nest with the golden-tailed woodpecker thereupon, or therein, just about to climb into it. But then it took fright and kind of moved away in order, I think, to distract us from where its nest is. And we'll keep an eye on it as we go forward. Now, this elephant, I think, is a rather magnificent fellow. He's young, to not be with a companion or two. He's probably about 20. There might be a herd around here somewhere. But a bit like the big old bull we saw last night, it looks to me that the elephants have already put on condition since the little bit of rain has come, and, of course, since the spring has broke and flushed all of the leaves in the trees. You can hear the wind blowing a little bit. Hello, Susie. You say that you hope Tayla and I get to see the new elephant, the placenta of which Brent found, and then, of course, Jamie found the elephant a little bit after that. Well, I hope we get to see it too, although I think even now it would be, well, not unrecognizable, but it would be so much more coordinated after just, say, 5 days on planet Earth. This chap's going to be a fairly substantial bull one day, I think, with those tusks. Not that he's insubstantial now, but he's going to get a lot bigger. He probably weighs now, I reckon, about 4 tons, 4,000 kilograms, 8,000 or so pounds. He's going to get a lot bigger than that. Hello, Susie. Nice question from you about the trunks of an elephant and whether they are muscle or cartilage. They are muscle, almost entirely. They've also got a very complex array of nerves in them, especially towards the tip, which helps them to smell and feel and pick things up that they want to. But they are largely muscle and nerves. Cartilage, there's no sort of ossification of any kind inside the trunk, so it's just a great big muscle. And that means that first of all, it takes a very long time, of course, to learn to control it. Sort of 2 or 3 years before elephants have full control of their trunks. And secondly, it also means that it almost has to be maintained. And some elephants get what we call a floppy trunk syndrome, where they lose control of the muscles in the trunk and it becomes very difficult for them to move it around. It can also become stretched, and you can see it's sort of built a little bit like a concertina, where it's able to stretch down to the ground and then back up again. And sometimes it becomes permanently stretched and almost drags along the ground. So it's made up, apparently, you'll read these sort of anecdotal accounts of it having over 100,000 muscles in the trunk. I don't think there are 100,000 different muscles. I think you might find there are 100,000 different muscle and nerve fibers inside there, but I don't think it's 100,000 different muscles. But certainly, as far as I'm aware, there's no cartilage at all. Now, we're not too far from Twin Dams, and that's the kind of slope down which this elephant is walking. It's going towards Twin Dams, although he's now sort of turned around. I think he might come out this way. No, he's going to carry on eating. So I think what we're going to do, once we've had a last look at him, is we'll carry on down this road and around towards not Twin Dams, Treehouse Dam, and see if Kurula hasn't managed to come across, although I think Aubrey went the southern boundary to see if she had done that. He's still got some sleep in his eye. You see that, Brian? Yes. Yuck. Needs to wash his face. Right, Phoebe, a good question from you, and it's not easy to answer, and you say you are challenged by it. Well, I'm challenged by it too, and the only reason I say these things with such authority is because there's nobody here really to question them. So, you want to know how I know that is an elephant bull, A, and B, how I know its age. Well, the quickest way to figure out that it's an elephant bull, Phoebe, is that it's on its own, but there are a number of other characteristics you can tell. First of all, it has tusks that point outwards as opposed to down. A lot of cows have tusks that point down. They're quite thick at the base, relatively thick at the base. He also has a relatively rounded forehead, but not very rounded. And he also doesn't have that typical bowing back. Ooh, there's an elephant crawling up ahead. He's got a bit of a bow there in his back, but it can be a lot more pronounced in an older elephant. But he's definitely a young elephant bull. And Phoebe, as with the aging, which I will now try and describe to you, it really does take a bit of time to figure it out. The other thing to do, I find the easiest way, if you're slightly confused, just look between the front legs. An elephant of that size is going to have mammary glands if it's a cow, and just 2 little nipples if it's a male. This is definitely a bull. But then in terms of age, Phoebe, and you can't really get the size impression from the screen, I don't think. I think it's much more difficult where you're sitting compared with where I'm sitting. But this elephant stands probably about 8.5 feet at the shoulder or so. That's a quite nice perspective there, Brian. And 8.5 feet, 2.5 meters or so. Yeah, I'd say that's about right. I'd put him at around about 20. The only reason I put him at around about 20 is because I've seen thousands of elephants around this age, thousands of elephants older than this, and thousands of elephants younger. So very much, Phoebe, is a question of how many elephants you've seen, and the experience you've had around them. And a very important thing is to spend time with guys who have spent time with elephants, and that, of course, they'll kind of mentor you into this sort of aging of them. But it's not easy. He could be anywhere between 17, no, he's not 25, he's younger than that, say 17 and 22. But we don't follow them from birth to death like we do with the lions and the leopards, because they're just not territorial, which means that he will be around here for a while. Then he'll knock off somewhere else. We could go months, even years. We might never see him again, especially these bulls, which wander very far. There's some very cross elephants up ahead. It's worth going to have a look just to make sure they're not shouting at a predator of some sort. Hello, Salt. Salt, you want to know if elephants ever get trunks, not trunks, if they get cramps in their trunks. Salt, I imagine they must do. Cramps, I think, are largely caused by a lack of salt in the muscles, and potassium being the salt, I think, that is mostly responsible for it. So should they to be deficient in potassium, then yes, I imagine they probably would get cramps in their trunks every so often. Now what we don't want to run into is some very irritated elephants, so we're just going to drive carefully through here, some quite thick bush either side of the road. I must confess the feeling of muscle cramp is very unpleasant indeed. And many of my friends who have got actual leg muscles as opposed to bone with a bit of skin on them, which is what I've got, have experienced dreadful leg cramps. Do you get cramps in your legs, Brian?
Sometimes.
Yes, I don't. It's on account of the fact that I don't actually have muscles on my legs. Gendre, I imagine, must get dreadful cramps in those enormous calves of his. Here's the elephant just up ahead here. What she was shouting at, or he, you can see definitely stressed, and we can tell that from the streaming of the temporal gland there. Now Phoebe, hello, you hear him talking to us. This is a young bull as well. We can see that from just looking between his legs. I would put this chap at, well, I'd say he's about 15 to 17. He's definitely smaller than the other one, and it would be very early for him to be on his own. Now he's doing two things now before I move the car. He's firstly having a little bit of a feed. Secondly, he's doing three things. Secondly, he's checking us out. And thirdly, he's hiding behind this bush. He's not quite comfortable being out in the open, and he feels he can sort of assess us from where he is, but he's talking. You hear that, Brian? Can you hear him talking, everyone? That's really unusual. I say it's unusual because normally they only talk to each other, but I don't see another elephant around here. And he might be talking to us. I don't want to start the car because I think he might relax around us and maybe try and have a bit of a conversation. And while we wait and see if he does that, there was a chap I met up in the Okavango once who used to be part of an elephant back safari. How cool is that? He used to be part of an elephant back safari outfit, and he said the elephants there used to greet him exactly like this. Whenever they saw him, they would make that rumbling sound. I have no idea whether that is a stressful sound, whether he is sort of feeling comfortable. I've got no idea. But I think the fact that he's eating right next to us indicates that he's relatively comfortable around us. be so wonderful to talk to elephants. I was reading a book again about elephant or animal intelligence, and elephants and dolphins and human beings and the sort of upper primates, they're in a class of their own when it comes to things like self-recognition and problem solving. Rob, I'm afraid I missed your question. The comms broke up a little bit. Weesey, can you go again with it, please? Oh, Rob, you're wondering what a pachyderm is. While this one talks to us. Pachyderm means wrinkly skin, as far as I know. Derm, skin. Pachy, I think, means wrinkly, so we call elephants pachyderms, wrinkly skins. I think you can also refer to a rhino as a pachyderm, but obviously we don't speak of them, do we, Brian?
No.
They don't occur here.
No.
Well, they do, but they don't, sort of.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fables,
Myths.
legends.
I don't hear any other elephants talking. It's only him. That is so cool. As Louise says, which I think you probably heard, this elephant is going to eat his entire hiding place just now. He is. I think we're going to sit here for a little while. While he talks to us. Now, every so often you will hear the voice of Louise Pavid. That is because the new communications are still being worked on, and so please do not be distressed. Oh, that is a wonderful sound. I would so love to know what on earth he's trying to say to us. You hear him sucking? Ryan, can you imagine sucking on a ziziphus tree?
I can.
But it's not a nice
No.
thing to imagine, though, is it?
No.
He's still talking. That is so cool. He's distressed, you know. He's not happy. And we can tell that from the streaming of his temporal glands. I wonder if he hasn't just been tossed out of a herd. He could also be talking with that young bull we saw earlier. In fact, I'm pretty sure he's tracking that other bull, and that he'll kind of continue with him and perhaps find some solace with a slightly older friend. Elephants do make extensive use of mentors. You say maybe he's talking to himself. He's still talking now. I can hear him. I don't think he might be talking to himself. I wonder what he's saying. And he's listening. I don't want to start the car because I don't think he's very happy. And that's not to say I don't think he poses any danger at all, but I don't think he's comfortable. Not with us. Something else out here has made him uncomfortable. He's perfectly comfortable with us. He was walking down the road, opening his ears out, and I think the other one is maybe communicating with him as well. He's smelling in front there. I think he's looking for the other elephant. He's very young to be on his own. That was fascinating. Well, Sue in Singapore, Very nice to hear all the way from Singapore, about which one only hears good things, unless one has tossed some chewing gum on the ground, in which case one doesn't. Which I have not. I've never been there. So, you say, what do elephants fear the most? Elephants fear the same thing that most animals fear here the most, and that is the human being. The human animal is the most terrifying thing to an elephant. You find an elephant on foot or in a vehicle, if it gets whiff of your human scent, or it sees you, especially on foot, they are absolutely terrified, and they will react in a manner that they'll either run away or they can react quite aggressively. And that's just because they feel so threatened by us. They will chase lions, and lions sometimes kill them, up in Botswana especially, not so much here. In fact, I've never seen it here. But it would be largely human beings. Let's look around here and see if we can't spot any source of potential distress for that elephant. Like a leopard sitting in a tree with a very large kill and 2 cubs. But I don't see that around here, unfortunately. Okay, we're going to head towards Treehouse Dam. While we do that, let's head across to Tayla and find out how her lion search is going. I think there are some tracks, but let's find out from her.
Well, got some news for everyone back at home watching us. I just spoke to the wonderful Rexon, and isn't he incredible? He's just told me that he's got the tracks of the Nkuhumas coming back across. How exciting is that? So they've come from Buffelshoek and they seem to have crossed over. So we are making our way all the way to the west. Now we're quite far northeast on the property at the moment. We're on Hippo Pools Road. I'm not going to pick you up because you've got lots of thorns. So I'm just squeezing past another tree that the elephants have kindly deposited on the middle of the road for us. So we're going basically just trying to get straight to Buffelshoek cut line, so I can go straight east and possibly help Rexon with his search for the lions. He is on foot, he's hot on the heels of them, so I am hoping that he's going to successfully find them down in the drainage somewhere. I didn't hear them last night, or normally we've been hearing the lions a lot, but I think I did sleep quite deeply. But keep your fingers crossed. I miss the Nkuhumas. They definitely are my favorite pride of the Sabi sand. Now let's see what else we've got in here. It's quite very thick all of a sudden. Oh, we're coming up to Buffelshoek Dam now. We'll have a little look around here and see if there's anything inside. Right, almost here. Over a few little bumps. Oh, we've got, hello Impala. We have got lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of Impala. It's quite difficult to see them, but you all know what the Impala look like so well. They're all feasting in this little section. Oh my goodness, there's lots of animals here. I can even see a big herd of zebra, which I'll show you in a few moments. They are, oh, there you can actually see them. Should we see if we can get a better view? Let's go up and on top of the wall. And then perhaps we won't have such an obscured view. Thank you, Impala. Good morning. Have a lovely day. I hope it warms up. This is wonderful. It's nice to see so many zebra around and the big herds of animals. Like I said, unfortunately, they're going to start to disperse. But look at that. Oh, there's everything's in here. No, don't run away from us. We just want to look at you. Impala racing away. I promise I'm not a lion. Oh, look at that young zebra down there. Wow, wow, look at the action. Run! Run, Racing Stripes, run. Oh, they're all going to come through here. Let's see. This might be quite exciting. Action-packed. We don't know where to look. They came racing down the dam wall. I thought they were going to go and drink. But it seems as though they're just having a good gallivant around this morning, which is fine. That's okay with us. Well, it's just the 2 of them that have gone off that way, which is quite bizarre because the rest of the herd is all the way over here. Have a look. There's so many of them hidden amongst those trees. I don't think I'll be able to count them, but there's definitely more than 10 zebra just alone on this side. Everything is racing around. Oh, and then look at these Impala. I don't know where to look. I'm so sorry. I'm so excited. let's just see if these impala are going to hang around. They may do a bit of a run for us, but there were some youngsters, they stopped. You know how they do this. They start and stop. They were sparring with each other. And I think the testosterone is high at the moment. And they're going to keep knocking each other's heads. One, I'm going to catch it because they keep giving me a little bit of a slip. Every time I'm like, oh, sparring impala, they hear it and then they disperse. But I want to go up a bit further. Let's have a look at these zebra over here. I wonder if they're perhaps aren't in a little herd themselves and they've just sort of met up and joined up at this sort of common point, this water source. And unfortunately, the pan is looking a bit dismal. It's drying up quite severely. Don't dry too quickly. Let's have a look and see if these zebra up ahead are going to be a little bit more cooperative than the ones hiding in the bushes. No, don't go. Actually, that's even better. That's quite cool. It's just a ball of stripes at the moment. Look at that, how they're all together. Isn't that quite nice? Well, you can see there's lots of zebra in there, all picking up and munching on those little grass shoots that are obviously coming through. Now, you see what I think is going to happen is with those big herds of buffalo that we've been seeing and all the big herds of zebra, lots of rhinos around, lots of elephants, lots of impala and kudu, is that they have already eaten a lot of the lovely green grass that's out in the open, on the big open plains. And again, they're having to come through and move through these denser areas to try and pick up on the longer bits of grass. Obviously, the zebra is well equipped though. They're able to eat in various lengths of grass, from long grass to short grass. But something like a buffalo, which prefers sort of shorter grass, they'll be enjoying the big open plains. Oh, look, a little bit of commotion there. I love watching the zebra, especially when big groups like this, because you're bound to have a dispute somewhere, and it's always entertaining to see the reactions when they leap around or buck or bite. Now, Fran, you want to know what is my favorite name for a zebra? I'm going to think about this one. I would say, I don't know, there's so many. I love them all. This is a really tough one. I'm trying to think what I would normally say when I was guiding, because I was very silly when I was guiding. I used to say the most ridiculous things. Probably, I don't know, it's a horse in pajamas? I don't know. I'm going to try and think of a better one, though. That's going to be my plan for the day. Thank you, Zebra, for providing a little bit of entertainment. But we will see. Louise can't remember who tweeted this, but I think it's quite funny. So Louise said that there's someone, and perhaps if it was you, if you recognize the name that I'm about to tell you, let us know, because that's brilliant. We need to trademark that one. Somebody said that their favorite name for a zebra was a tiger horse. I must admit that's the first time I've ever heard that one. It's quite funny. I like it, a tiger horse, especially when they're being feisty and perhaps two stallions rearing and chopping at each other and biting each other. I think that would be quite a descriptive name, the tiger horse. I like that. I'm going to use it, so if you did say it, let us know, so that we can give you all the credit for coming up for that wonderful name. That's brilliant. But we are going to carry on and leave those zebra and all the impala that have had their little drink, and we're going to carry on in search of the Nkuhumas, because I know that everyone would be very excited if we could come across some fluffy cats this morning. Right, we're almost on Buffelshoek Hook cut line, which is good news, because that means I can pick up the pace slightly. Not too much though, don't go very fast. I think the only time you can really drive fast is when you have to try and keep up with the wild dogs. Well, okay, I don't know if you, David was apparently the one who said made the comment about the tiger horse. Well done, David. That is pretty hysterical. Now, we normally hear a lot of different things interacting with so many different people, but that's what I love about this job, is that somebody's brain works a little bit differently and then slightly varies and comes up with something incredible like that. It's quite interesting. I'd love to hear a little bit more about that, David, if you are watching, as to, did you come up with it, or did you perhaps hear somebody else say that? That was really, really funny. As you can see, we're on the beautiful Buffels Hook cut line, scanning, and as I'm going along here, like I said, I'm not going to go too fast because I would like to see for myself where those lions came in, and perhaps, it doesn't look like anyone's really driven up here, and perhaps if there's a little leopard that's maybe crept on over, so we can't go too quickly, otherwise I'm going to drive straight past the tracks. I'm just going to scan a little bit over my shoulder. And it would be quite difficult though as well with tracking these lions or anything else that's around because of all the wind that we've been having, blowing all the sand in the tracks. So Sarah, as we're driving along here in this beautiful wide open space, you're wondering, are there fences? Now there are, but they're quite far apart. So in the Sabi sand, I suppose you could call it a wilderness area, if you will. And this is about 130,000 acres of land. And then of course you've got the surrounding wilderness areas like the Timbavati, like the Klaseri, then of course the world-renowned Kruger National Park. Now there's no fences between any of those names that I just mentioned, but there is one on the outside. So essentially we've got 8 million acres of land to roam around. It isn't that large. And there is a fence line on the most western sector of, so I'm just turning my game drive radio off quickly. Maybe we'll even go past that, Sarah, to perhaps show you the western sort of fence line of the Sabi sand, and that goes all the way down to the Sabi River, which gets towards Kruger National Park, and that's where the Sabi sand stops. And then from there, the next fence line is about, I'm so sorry, my conversions are terrible and I need to work on them. However, it's about between 130 and 150 kilometers from the most western fence line of the Sabi sand all the way to the border of Mozambique. Amazing. We can go from one country to another country. Now, sorry, this is a good area. I'm just having a quick look in these overhanging trees for perhaps a dangling leopard, but nothing, no luck. So it's massive. That's the way we say, sometimes we see these animals and sometimes we don't. So I mean, how lucky are we to see so many different things? Nobody has to hang around. But of course the Impala are in full force today. Hello Impala. They're looking a bit chilly today. A bit cold. I don't think it's warming up now. It was freezing this morning. Sorry, I'm on a slight incline. You can have a look at the wonderful fluffy Impala, and there seems to be more males here than there are females. Look at all of them. And you can see what I mean when I say fluffy. You know, you all know when you see an Impala, they're renowned for their lovely slick coats, beautiful and shiny. Whereas today they're all fluffed up. And that's just that philo-erection. Manually being able to erect all the hair on their body. And that pocket of air that's between the skin and the fatty layer warms up like an electric blanket, which keeps them lovely and warm. And I always say they're probably a lot warmer than what we are. Even though I've got my big jacket on today, it's still a bit chilly. And they don't look too bothered. They don't look too miserable. They're still going about, munching away. That one's having a groom. Hello, little one. You're not so little anymore. And I can't wait to see all the Impala lambs that we should be seeing in the next few months. And maybe we'll even get to witness an Impala giving birth. I got to see one last year from start to finish. It was quite spectacular watching this female. She'd separated from the herd. She was so round, she was so fat, and you could see she was walking funny. She would stop, and eventually we knew exactly what was happening. We sat there for 2 hours and watched this Impala give birth. It was quite spectacular. So wouldn't that be amazing? I know you've seen a zebra giving birth before. I mean, wow, I've never seen that. Be nice to add an Impala to the list as soon as we see them every single day. I don't think we've ever gone a drive without seeing an Impala, which is wonderful. And I hope it stays that way. I hope Impala flourish and their numbers continue to grow. Lovely. Well, we're going to have to carry on and keep moving. We've got to get closer and closer to Rexon to help him. It's not fair just to let Rexon try and find the lions on himself. So I just want to turn my radio, my game drive comms up just a little bit in case Rexon says I've gotten, and then we know exactly where to go. but I haven't seen their footprints coming over just yet. But perhaps in a moment. We're getting closer, slowly but surely. Right. See who else we've got here. Let's have. Actually, I want to show you something. Have a look at this lovely silver cluster leaf tree. I know I'm showing you a tree, but this is the best time of the year to actually see why a silver cluster leaf is called a silver cluster leaf. You can see just on the edges, you see that lovely sort of glistening silvery color. Well, that's all those hairs. They've got quite a bit of hair sort of densely compacted on their leaves, and it gives off that lovely sheen. Now, if it was a sunny day, my goodness, I'd have to pop my sunglasses on. It would be there would be quite a glare coming from this tree. And it's amazing that even though it was pushed over, you saw it was pushed over by the elephants, it's still managing to grow. That's what I love. Oink. I always say that the elephants aren't as destructive as everybody makes out. Not that too many animals would want to feed on that silver cluster leaf, but it's now providing a little bit of shelter. Hang on. What do we got here? What do we got here? Lion tracks. Let's see. Can you see that lion track over there, VM? Is that too close? Where did you go now? We're trying to find it. It's very difficult to... Have you got it? Oh, there we go. Sorry, I was in the way there. Now, it's quite an obscure track, but that is a lion track. It looks like from a female, and it doesn't actually look too old. It looks a little bit big, but if you look on the left-hand side of your screen, can you see how that pad is stretched out? I think that this lion was perhaps running, because that whole track is a lot longer than what it normally should be. So perhaps this lion was moving at a bit of a speed, which is quite exciting. Now, it's crossing into Buffel's Hook. Now, Herbert's also on my mind, apparently. Rexon has got those fresher tracks, so I'm going to take his word and go that way, closer towards Mvubu Road, and see if we can't see all their tracks crossing in, because that was just one. Now, you're going to see me, I'm going to have my head right over, and I apologize for not looking at all of you, but I just need to concentrate a little bit over here, just to make sure that I'm not missing any vital information that the animals have left behind for me. So, essentially, the road is like our newspaper. You don't get to see too many newspapers coming into the reserve. Occasionally, like I saw someone popped one in last night, which was quite nice. We'll have to have a good read of that with a cup of coffee after drive, but we don't have all the words written down. We've just got to look at the footprint and, well, take it from there, see what the track says to us. Like I said, it is hard because of all of the sand that has been blown into the tracks. Now, I'm hopefully going to find and go and help Rexon find the Nkuhumas. We've got something to show you. And while I do that, let's go back to James and see how he's going.
We found one golden-tailed woodpecker. We found a gymnogene. Both of those, of course, are birds, and they flew away before Louise could come to us. She did try very hard, but the birds were not really playing ball. Now, we have had reports from Jean-Dre that the broad-billed roller, which I have seen once in my days, is at the Djuma Pan chasing... what was it chasing, Brian?
Lapwing.
Chasing a lapwing there. Right, so we're going to go and see if we can't find it there. Thank you, Jean-Dre, for that. Hopefully Jean-Dre has identified it correctly, and it is not a fork-tailed drongo chasing a lapwing. I'm pretty sure that he hasn't mistaken it. It's not an easy bird to mistake. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to drive at a relatively brisk pace past the gymnogene nest that seems to be unoccupied, past a ring-necked dove that got out of the way. Hold on, Brian. Hornbill there. Oh, hang on one sec, sorry. Sorry, Jigger's now trying to stab me in the head with his aerial. I think there's a hornbill's nest in one of those holes. I think a hornbill just came out of one of them. Normally they've got sort of a slit. Go down, yeah, like that. Is that wood in there? Apparently it's right above the fork. Okay, yes, I can see a hole there. Louisa, you've seen this one before, have you? Fork on the left. There it is. Can you see that hole there, Brian?
I can see plenty of holes.
Yeah, there we are. Down a little, I think. Could be that one, or one down just to the right of that. There's another hole. There we are. We'll just brighten the picture a bit. Could be that one. There's no mud in that one though. Could easily be in there. They like those sorts of knots. Anyway, I'm not going to dally here. Clearly nothing in there at the moment, or if it is, it's hiding in there. So let's go and see if we can find the roller. Hello Joey in Australia. You're wondering about the European rollers and when they're going to come back here. They normally come back quite late, Joey. I would say probably sort of mid-November time. They'll probably come back here. Roughly the same time as the woodland kingfisher. I seem to remember them coming back very late last year. I don't remember exactly the date, but I think it was around about the same time. We did just drive past a buffalo, but I'm going to keep going because I'd really quite like to see this bird. We can come back to the beefy. He looked like he was very rested. And there were also tracks, apparently, of a buffalo herd coming down this way, and guesses that the lions might be following them. Now, we are coming up towards the great valley of the Molawati on Central Road, and this is where, of course, the Nkuhuma Pride has been. Ooh, hello. A herd of elephants going across the road, everybody. Let's just assess them. Seem to be quite a few of them. I'll just roll gently. No, I won't. I'll move forward off this slope. There we are. A very large herd of elephants, this, I think. That's a good. I really am amazed by how much condition these elephants have put on in the last few weeks. They're looking so much better than they were. Is that a tuskless cow there? I think she doesn't have tusks at all. This is a big herd. Lots and lots of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 odd. Oh, this is wonderful. Now, apparently the very little elephant, which was not found too far from here, was in Fang's herd. This doesn't look like Fang's herd. This herd has got 2 cows. That's interesting, with no tusks. Now, that is a genetic thing with elephants, unless they've broken them off. But she doesn't look like she's broken off her tusks. I think it's purely genetic, and so she's probably very closely related to the other one with no tusks. Does make her look quite a lot older, doesn't it? I don't think that's a very old elephant, though, necessarily. Gee whiz. What a wonderful herd. Let me just sneak slightly forward. Go. It's very peaceful. The wind is blowing, of course, which I'm sure you can hear. Look how they disappear. Now, as we speak about this tranquil scene, we have a question from Bark Tranquility. That is an interesting name. A good one, actually. We haven't had a very... as in? Dark Tranquility. Goodness. Dark Tranquility. You say, do elephants suck their trunks in the same way that little humans suck their thumbs? Dark Tranquility, they do a little bit. Not for comfort, though, I don't think, but certainly they do taste their trunks very often. I think that's got a lot more to do with interpreting smell and using the vomeronasal organ, which of course is just above the sinus passages, and it helps them to interpret the things that they're smelling. I think that's why they do it. I don't think it's really much for comfort. Thank you, Dark Tranquility. The sun is coming out, everybody, which is rather a relief. We're still on our way to see if we can't find that roller. I'm going to drive a little bit more quickly. Hold on, Brian. I haven't seen this buffalo herd anywhere. But as I was saying, just before we found those elephants, this is where the Nkuhumas during the drought spent, the best part of a month. Lurking about here, and we had them almost on tap. They'd kill a buffalo, devour it with the cubs, lie about for a couple of days, kill another buffalo and do the same thing. It was wonderful. But for the sort of smell of lion dung that began to pervade the area. Not a nice smell, Brian? No. Possibly the worst. Alright, I didn't quite copy that, but we're going to be going at some speed. While we do that to try and find the broad-billed roller, I think we're going to go across to Tayla. In fact, I'm pretty sure we are, because she's the only other feed out at the moment.
Right, so guess who I've just found. Have a look who's coming around the corner. It's the man himself. Hello, Rex. Hey, James, how are you? Are you guys well? Did they cross back out here though? Or they're going that way? Oh. Okay. Yeah? Okay.
So they went there, but I had the kudu lambing boat was off slope.
Okay, must I go check that side?
And also, yeah, there on that finish line, there's one thing that's going that way. Also, look like two cubs.
Okay.
But most of the tracks.
Just discussing what's happening with the lions.
Maybe if you check down Blue Road, you see where the mud puddle is?
Yeah, yes.
Turn to the left on that clearing, somewhere they look for Galata here.
You think they're there? Okay. Thanks, guys. Well done to this incredible team, because they definitely have crossed onto our property, which is fantastic. It's good news for us. We're now going to try and give Rexon and James a helping hand. So, as you heard there, I don't know if you could hear Rexon very well. He's quite a distance away. It seems as though the tracks come all the way in, almost towards the dam, towards the Juma Dam camp. And it seems like they're possibly in some very thick vegetation now. We obviously don't want to risk anybody's life, so Rexon said he says he could not go in any further. It was just too thick and a bit too dangerous, especially if there is a buffalo that's roaming around that perhaps has been injured and that's in this area, you don't want to come across something like that. So rather be safe. And I think what's probably happened is with that terrible storm that came across, maybe they moved in between that, all the wind and all the lightning and all the thunder, and then perhaps it got a bit too much for them and they seek some shelter. And where is the best place to try and keep out of the wind? Well, if you're lower down. So if you go into a drainage line, it's a good place to be quite sheltered. So that's most likely what's happened. Now we're going to keep checking though, because it is nice and cool. So that doesn't mean that the animals are not going to start moving around. And we may even see a hippo by some miracle out of the water on a day like today. And we've done, and it's happened to me time and time again. You check the same road, you keep doing loops, and eventually someone decides to get up and move, and then voila, there they are right there. So we'll keep checking. We'll go check a little bit further west though. And I also want to see where Rexon said, he said there's one female's tracks that cross in with 2 cubs. So I'd like to have a look and try and find those tracks as well. So I'm also going to dangle my head over the edge. And that's pretty much what we're going to try and do, because I'd love to have a little look at these lions. Let's see if anybody else is around and down this way. Oh. It's making it, this bush is lovely and lush as what it is. It's making it very difficult now. It's just sort of scan through. It's just amazing how we take everything for granted. And it's quite funny how we all say, oh, the bush is so dry. Everything is so dry and all those types of things. Now we're going, oh, the bush is too thick, we can't see anything. We just can't be happy. Now, lots of wildebeest and zebra tracks here. Let's see if there's any lion tracks. Doesn't look like it, nope. And of course lots of elephant tracks coming in and out. Just gonna take it easy. Nothing yet. That's what I'm hoping, is we're just going to catch somebody moving, which will make it a lot easier for us. Good scan. Now I've really got to use my eyes well. I'm just reversing. I'm going to jump out very quickly because I want to pick something up. Right, now this is interesting because I now need to get, oh, how am I going to do this? Hang on. I'm sorry, I'm trying to figure out how on earth I'm going to get out. Let me unplug my earpiece quickly like this. Yeah. It doesn't help me because I've still got to do this. Okay, well, we'll dismantle it. 2 seconds. Whoop. Trying to pull my lifeline out. Have a look at this. I've made a big mess. Look at this amazing creature. It's not a creature. Now, you probably would have seen it quite a bit with James in the tent. I think he's actually showed you the bulb from a tall white squirrel. Now, the elephants absolutely love to eat this particular bulb. Now, as tasty as it looks, unfortunately to us, it's quite poisonous. I always say when you're out in the bush and you are looking perhaps for something to eat, you shouldn't eat anything that looks like an onion. And of course onions have layers, so anything that's layered like this, rather keep away from it. Now I can't wait for the rest of this plant to grow if the elephants leave it alone for long enough. But it grows to a lovely green long stem, almost, I'm going to move back, actually almost to the height of me. Now I stand at 1.72 meters, so I'm quite tall, and they will grow up to that length. Can you imagine? Lots and lots of them. You normally see them in sort of big open areas. You'll see all these squirrels growing up, and they get a lovely white, little bit of a blue tinge to the flower. But my favorite part is actually, so say you're off-roading perhaps for an animal. I'm going to have to jump in very shortly, but I want to tell you. And now when the squirrel has dried, so the whole stem has gone brownish color and it's now completely dried, and they've got little black seeds, and if you sort of shake them, they all come out, dispersing quite a bit. So we've got a vehicle now, I've caused a roadblock, I'm like the elephants, and as you're driving, you sort of hit them, you go over them, and the seeds go everywhere. Well, hello, thank you. You very kindly went around us. I found seeds in my hair before, in the hem of my pants. It's completely bizarre, but we'll wait for, hopefully we'll find some. I'll find an area where they like to grow, and and then I will show you the lovely black seeds. They're quite pretty, and hopefully the flowers as well. That's another flower that I like. Now, you have to excuse me while I attempt to try and very quickly put my earpiece back in. It won't take me long. Right, it's like a challenge. This could be possibly another challenge for the Bush Olympics, is how quickly can we assemble ourselves. And I'm in. I can hear everyone. Okay. Well, no lion tracks here. Now, as we're driving along, and I'm showing you all these wonderful trees and plants, and showed you the silver cluster leaf. I know Daniel was particularly wondering, what trees do we see? Now, Daniel, we're very fortunate. There are a wide variety of trees and shrubs that grow in this area. Some of the most common ones, though, let's have a look here, is this tree on the left. Now, this is a bush willow, and this is a variable bush willow. And we get lots and lots of different types of the combretum. That's the genus that this tree is. We get the russet bush willow, we get the variable, we get the large fruited, and the list is honestly endless. And it's a very important plant. It provides a lot of sustenance to the various animals. We often see the elephants actually eating the bark quite often. You often see them pulling these trees over, and the roots are quite tasty as well. So what they'll do is they'd come to a tree like this. This one's a bit big though. Perhaps they'd do it to a smaller, sort of a more flexible tree, and they'd break it over and dink. Right, okay. I'll get back to you, Daniel. Let's go back to James, who's finally found the roller he's been looking for.
It's a purple roller, everybody, but it is not a broadbilled, and that is not for one instant to say that Jean-Andre didn't see the broadbilled here, but Brian and I became very excited when we saw a roller here, but it's very clearly not a broadbilled. Alas and alack. But what else we did find here, we are going to show you. You might just be able to see it up there in the bushes. And that is a hippopotamus that has clearly decided it doesn't wish to spend time lurking about in the water on a cold and blustery day like today. So it's come out of the water and it's lying there in the bush, and you do not want to stumble across that on foot. That can be a very nasty surprise indeed. So we'll go and have a slightly closer look at him. Just wanted to let him relax slightly. Now, for those of you who didn't see the broad-billed roller with Brent, the broad-billed roller is a magnificent looking bird. It is a bright purple, not kind of the dull purple of the purple roller, and it's got a lovely golden beak. 274 while we head up towards the hippopotamus. That's it there. Number 2, the broad-billed roller. Sorry, Brian. I'm making it very difficult for you. There you are. Number 2, the broad-billed roller. And they're migratory, so we wouldn't see them all year round. Alright, let's pop up here. We'll still hope maybe to see the broad-billed roller, but also, everyone, the lions seem to have been heading this way. Rexon is tracking them, as is Tayla, and so is Mike giving a hand, and they seem to be heading this way. Well, hippo are not normally very confiding with vehicles, and that's because they don't spend that much time around them when they're not in the water. I'm going to stop here for now. We'll have a look at his great snout. I can hear much calling of rollers. I wonder if we shouldn't just play while we let the hippo acclimatise to us. Let's play the call of the broad-billed roller. That is a beastly noise. Well, it's certainly got a song about as attractive as its cohorts. We've got it. It's here. There's the purple roller again. Oh. It's interesting that the purple got so upset, though. It's obviously they're perhaps antagonistic to each other. Well, let's move a little bit further up here. I got my hopes up there, Brian, for the second time in one day. I'm just going to stop with the hippo again. Now, in a vehicle, a hippopotamus should be relatively calm. I wouldn't be coming anywhere near it if I was on foot. Hello, Anna Marie. You say one of your favourite things to see out here is a hippopotamus out of the water. It is interesting, isn't it? Because we don't see them much. That's normally all we see is those ears, eyes, and nose. Oof, that is a really chilly wind, and that's why he's hanging around out of the water. I always feel slightly sorry for them when they're not in the water, but I mean, there is water here for him to be in if he wanted to be in it. But you know, I've walked through this very bush where that hippo is sitting, I got goodness knows how many times. You have to be so careful. You can never ever let your guard down out here. There's the purple roller flying. I've seen two of them now. He seems to be going to sleep. Alright, let's carry on. Well, yeah, let's carry on. I'm just going to quickly tell Mike, who is, I know, desperately seeking hippopotamus. Mike, do you copy? But you only get one chance. Let's have one last look. Is that alright, Dweez? It's quite a nice view of his face here. Let's have one last look before we go across to Tayla, who's got a few interesting things to show you. There's a bit of a bulging eye, isn't it? Ugh. I'm not sure I've ever seen a hippo's eye that closely. He's watching us quite carefully. Yeah, and as Louise says, it looks like the eyeball pops back into the skull as they blink. That is... I've not noticed that before. And there's an oxpecker, red-billed oxpecker. Angelina, we'll be able to answer your question shortly. You say, do hippos give you a warning before they charge? They will normally make a loud grunting noise, but I don't think that they're particularly good at warning. It's highly unlikely it would charge the vehicle. It's certainly not impossible. But remember that for it to charge the vehicle, it's got to decide that we are A, so much of a threat that it needs to get rid of us, and B, it was so much of a threat that the risk of attacking something the size of this vehicle outweighs the sort of the benefit of leaving it alone, and I just don't think he's going to make that decision. Okay, let's head across to Tayla. She's got a couple of interesting species to show you. We'll keep having a look for this broad-billed roller, and then we might decide to go and see if the salalas aren't perhaps at Arathusa airstrip still.
So we had a giraffe that moved very quickly. Like you know, we are live, and unfortunately the animals don't always hang around. However, we found some kudu. There's actually quite an array of animals around here. We've got kudu, we've got impala, and we've got some waterbuck. But these kudu are posing lovely for us this morning. They also look a little bit chilly, not as cold as the impala though. And you can see those oxpeckers hard at work, nibbling and eating all the parasites that are in the hair of the kudu. But did you also see how fluffed up those oxpeckers were? And we had a little glimpse of them. Hello, impala. Oh, lovely. So I know you can see just behind those impala there's a very fluffy antelope, and that is indeed a waterbuck. And I know that Aaron from New Zealand was desperately hoping to see some waterbuck this morning. Well, here we go, Aaron. Here is your waterbuck. There's just one. There's actually a few more. There's quite a few of them. There you can see the rump of another one. They're all scattered out quite nicely. And it's quite nice to see a kudu, impala, waterbuck, and you have to just trust me on this one, there was a giraffe, all hanging around in the same area. It's quite sheltered here too. The wind doesn't seem to be blowing as much, which is quite lovely. And I'm just looking out. I'm hoping I'm going to hear the alarm calls of something. But I have not. The kudu always looking over their shoulder just to make sure, equipped with those lovely big sort of satellite-like ears that are able to pick up all the different noises in the bush, and having a great time. Now, we're going to see the condition of the kudu, of the bushbuck, of the Inyala improve drastically, and now that the trees are producing these lovely new leaves. Remember, they are browsers. However, they do occasionally eat little nibbles of green grass that come through, but they prefer to eat the leaves. And of course the waterbuck have already had a bit of a head start with the early rain and all the nice green grass that's come through, so they're looking delighted at the moment that there's food around. But you know what I'd like to see? I love the waterbuck. I'd like to try and see a big male. What I'm going to do is I want to go up a little bit further on this road just to try and get a better glimpse at these waterbuck. Perhaps there is a male lurking in between them. Wouldn't that be nice? Now, I want to show you something. You can see straight ahead. I know that Sarah was wondering. Now, Sarah, this is one of the entrances. Can you see that little thatch structure over there? And there's a fence. We have now reached the most western boundary of the Sabi Sand. Up in the north, though, we're out on the northern edge, and then sort of that way is the Manuleti. And that's quite exciting, don't you think? I told you that we were going to try and head up this way so I could show you a little glimpse. Now, just want to move a little bit further forward to try to find a nice gap of these waterbuck. There are quite a few of them. Let's see, I'm just going to try and creep up slowly because I don't want them to run away from us. But they have seen us, which is good. It's the only thing with the wind is you sort of need to announce your presence to the animals, otherwise they get a bit of a fright and then tend to run away. No, don't go into the thick vegetation. Right, let's do this. Here we go. There's a few fluffy waterbuck. Aaron, I hope that suffices. Here we go. You can see them there, just keeping a close eye on us. I love those shaggy coats. And what I particularly love about the waterbuck, and I know it's been mentioned before, but it's one of my favorite things about this antelope, is look at all that long hair around the neck. I think that's quite peculiar. We don't really see any antelope with very fluffy long hair other than when it's quite chilly. Then they erect all that hair. Now all those hairs around the neck are actually hollow. Can you believe it? And that almost acts as a flotation device for when the waterbuck swim. They're very good swimmers. They also have those sebaceous glands underneath their stomach. Sometimes you can actually see the secretion, especially on the males, which waterproofs their coat. Isn't that amazing? There you go. But no males, unfortunately. Perhaps a young male, but no big boys that I was hoping to see. It's just the ladies out this morning having I think it's Monday today, having a Monday brunch. And of course the impala. Oh, there we go. Yes. There we go. Look at those two sparring. Now those are youngsters They look to be about a year or so old, and it was a very quick glimpse, but yay, finally, at least we got to see them sparring, as brief as what it was. There's a waterbuck trying to pretend to be an impala. Now, we're going to be seeing a lot of that, and I'm quite excited as these youngsters now sort of reaching a year old. Mom's sort of going to say, right, you need to go off on your own now, because I'm going to have another baby. And we'll see those young boys sort of testing the strength. You know, they don't need mom anymore. They can go out on their own. They're big and strong. And hopefully we'll get two big male impalas having a bit of a tussle as well. That would be quite entertaining. That's quite impressive when the males do fight. And as often as they do fight, it's quite amazing how we don't see it that frequently. So you've got to count yourself quite lucky when you do find animals having a little knockabout each other. Now, seeing as we've been seeing so many giraffe, that's going to be something I'm going to be looking out is for the giraffe necking. I haven't seen that in ages, so that's going to be something quite fun. And I don't know if you've ever seen giraffe necking. I've never seen a real giraffe fight before. I've only just seen them playing. Rexon's looking for me. I'm just going to chat to him. Go, Rex. Let's see what he has to say. Ooh. Okay, we've got some news. Just quickly listening. Okay, copy. No Matata Rexon. I'm on the cut line. I'll go check Gary cut line. I'll be there in a few minutes and I'll check for you. Okay, right. Fantastic. So Rexon said he's picked up on some more tracks moving out of that treacherous drainage line where he said was sort of impenetrable. They seem to be going towards their favorite spot, Gowrie Cut Line. Now we know, and I know James was chatting about it this morning, about how the lions over the past few weeks have been hanging around sort of Central, Hyena Road, Gowrie Cut Line. They love that drainage. So we're back on Buffels Hook Cut Line. We're just about to pass Sandy Patch, so we've got a bit of a distance to go. I am going to pick up the pace now, not worrying too much about the tracks, because Rexon seems to be still hot on the heels. He's great and he's incredible at what he does. He knows these lions so well, and obviously it does help when you know their behavior. So we're going to just get going a little bit. Like I said, I'm not going too fast, but we need to try and get there and have a little look. And perhaps we're going to get them. Maybe they've just been lying on Gowrie Cut Line this entire time. Right. I'm going to try and head over to Gowrie Cut Line as quick as I can. And I think while I do that, let's go back over to Mr. Hendry.
James Hendry has failed to find anything, including the broad-billed roller. So I think it's time I got out of the car, stretched my legs, found something to eat. Brian, what do you think? Are you hungry?
I am hungry.
Yes, I thought you might be. You have, of course... Ooh, hang on. My brazier's coming off. Everybody, I have to keep my microphone in a brazier. Okay, there we go. Now, the Nkuhuma Pride apparently has changed from the direction they were going. I thought they were heading this way, but they're obviously going back towards their favourite haunt, which I mentioned to you earlier. We will taste this. No, in fact we won't, because this is poisonous. So we're not going to taste that, Brian, unless you'd like to.
Please don't poison me.
Okay, I shan't poison you at all then.
Thank you.
Right? Well, I suppose I should tell you what we're looking at here. This is a senna, and they don't smell so fly. Then we've got also some combretum, some hairy combretum, some of this Rus gwenzii, or the thorny caree, and we've also got a hairy version of this, which is combretum apiculatum. Brian, on a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you about the following leafy meal?
11.
11 out of 10. Good. Now, which one is the Rus? Okay. Now, I don't think the rus is poisonous so much as, well, I know that if it does cut you, if you get scraped by the thorns, you can get a bit of a swelling. So I think we're going to eat that one. And also on it dwelling lives the flea beetle. And the flea beetle, of course, has a larva that the Bushmen used to use to poison their arrows. So on the off chance that there is a toxin in there, we won't eat it. You may have a piece of this, Senna. I don't think it's going to taste very nice. This is the same family as the shambok pod. Horrible. That is disgusting. That really is disgusting. It's quite bitter and quite burny. It's quite burny, isn't it? Yes. Now, young viewers, please don't do this unless you're fully aware of what you're eating. This is a hairy and new piece of combretum. There we are. How's that?
Oh, so furry.
So furry. Is it nice? No, it's horrible. And I've just had the white berry bush, which is disgusting. So that really wasn't what one might describe as a delicious stop, was it, Brian?
No.
But it was an opportunity to stretch the legs.
Yes, it was.
And, you know, do something other than drive around, which is what we've been doing, finding not very much today. So I must apologize for that, everybody. I'm obviously off slightly. Anyway, we might be lucky. We still have a bit of time left. We came past the Gallagher pan. There was nothing there except one very relaxed-looking lapwing. Unharassed, unfortunately, by a broad-billed roller. Hello, Carol in New York. Very good question. You say, why is it that so many of the bushes out here have thorns? What is the purpose of them? Well, Carol, the purpose of them is to ward off predators that want to eat them. And the reason we have so many thorned bushes is because we have so many things that like to eat them. That's the reason. And it's called a mechanical defense. So it's, well, I mean, that's pretty obvious. It's, you know, it's thorns that will spike things if they come and eat them. And many of the animals, of course, have adapted ways of dealing with those thorns. Few of the animals here seem to be bugged by them at all. But I think you'll find they'd be eaten a lot more if they didn't have thorns. And then you get something called chemical defense. And some trees, like the acacias, have both. They have tannin, which wards off predators and thorns. And then some just have the tannins. And many of the trees here, all of the combretums, which are the most common trees out here, have no thorns, but they have extensive chemical defense. Righty, we're going to go back towards Quarantine and then north, because there's nothing in the area that we've driven so far. There's a zebra. Thank you, zebra, for coming to see us. You see that, Brian?
I do.
Yes. 2 zebras. Good morning. Marvelous. That zebra looks very relaxed with life. Often don't. Nice sort of forelock there, if you see what I'm looking at there, Brian. Very nice. We had a question earlier for Taylor about what my favorite nickname for these things is. I think we had pajama donkeys, convicts of the wild, striped ponies, striped dressage ponies. I quite like pajama donkey, don't you? Brian, what's your favorite?
Sure.
Bush, what? Tiger horse. I quite like that one too. I think that's quite good.
I don't know.
Young stallion looks like he's almost giving us the hairy eyeball. Ah, Jeffrey in Texas, you say, what about prison ponies? Yes, I quite like prison pony. Yes, prison pony, tiger horse, pajama donkey. I think also that a zebra, that's very artistic, Brian. I think a zebra out here is much less donkey than it is horse. The Grevy zebra and the mountain zebras, they do look a bit ass-like, if you like. They've got longer ears. But I think a Birchall's or plain zebra looks much more horse-like. Yes, what a good-looking fellow you are. They are quite remarkable. Now, there's quite an interesting thing here. Just stay there on the muzzle. You see it's asymmetrical. That's quite odd. And it's interestingly, and I wonder if the stripes don't make a difference to this, it's interestingly something that you will look for in a potential mate. And you will notice it now that I've said it to you. When you look at somebody, and if you decide that you find them attractive, or even that they look nice, not necessarily that they're attractive to you, it's often because they have perfectly symmetrical features. And one of the things that you notice about people and animals almost immediately, and it's an instinctual response, is that if they do not have symmetrical features, if one eye is slightly higher or lower than the other, or a nostril is slightly bigger, as is the case with this one, it's immediately apparent. And what it indicates to your subconscious is that there may be some kind of genetic defect. So symmetry is enormously important when animals are looking for potential mates. You think he doesn't have a girlfriend, Brian?
I don't know. Maybe he does.
Maybe he does. Except it's not really a he so much as a she, that zebra. But we're a modern show, so you could have a girlfriend or a boyfriend, really. But not very symmetrical nostrils. Sorry, my lady. Good. Well, that was an excellent prison pony sighting. Let us continue and see if we can find something with claws and teeth. That would be nice. Hello, Bobby Chairs. Bobby Chairs, an interesting question from you, which I will get to once I have stopped next to what is clearly the stallion of this herd. That is an excellent picture of a stallion's bottom, everybody. Could we super zoom its bottom? Excellent. There we are. Very nice, Brian. Excellent bottom shot. Bobby Chairs, you say, is there ever an instance where an animal becomes overabundant in an area like this? I'm going to say no. Many will say that that's not true. Of course, the tradition continues. Bobby, you'll find that an area as big as this, 8.5 million acres, tends to self-regulate itself if human beings don't put water and food down for the animals. So we've had a drought, and if there was, in the absence of human-placed water and food, what you would find is that the animals self-regulated. They wouldn't give birth as much, there'd be a die-off of weaker or diseased individuals, and we'd have a time when it would look fairly underpopulated. Then during times of boom, then animal populations would go up. And as the prey populations went up, so the predator populations would follow them, with obviously a slight lag, because that's how it works. And this is interesting, zebras are very cross with each other. And so, Bobby, a big place like this, yes, if you got to a drought, it might, and you came into the area, you might think, oh gosh, there are too many animals here for the amount of food. But the point is that they would have got that way because there'd been enough food. And then they would die off naturally because there wasn't enough food. So to say that there's an overabundance of things in an open ecological system like this, I think would be incorrect. And certainly that was not the philosophy of the Kruger National Park for many, many years. They believed that they could tell what was an overabundance and an underabundance of certain animals, and it's proved categorically and in some cases catastrophically to be incorrect. And things like sable and roan and eland and sesame in the Kruger National Park have been wiped out by the competition from zebra and impala because human beings have added water, and also because I think they certainly culled elephants for many years. And I think that's resulted in a profound change in the vegetation, which has in turn chased off other animals. I can't believe how many zebra there are at the moment. I think it's because there's been so much rain up here compared with the amount of rain there's been in the south of the Sabi Sand. And I think that's brought a lot of animals up here. Hello, Tanner. There's no subtle way for me to answer this question from you. You say, how do you tell the difference between a male and a female zebra? I could waffle on about the fact that a male zebra has a thicker neck and he's slightly bigger, which is, they're both true, but unless you are looking at them compared with a female, it's very difficult. The only way, Tanner, to tell if it's a male or female zebra is to look between its back legs. That's the best way, and then also all behind its tail. And then you will see very quickly whether it's a male or a female. But I mean, if you were to just see the bottom like that, it'd be almost impossible. Males do have slightly thicker necks. They are slightly heavier. They've got a slightly more hollowed back. But unless you're extremely experienced, the best thing to do is just wait for it to wag its tail, and you'll see immediately whether it's male or female. A stallion or a mare. One of those quirks of English that stallion and mare apply only to the horses. Where those words come from, I don't know. Right, let us continue. Hello, Crago or Prago? Drago. Drago, Prago or Crago? Oh, Drago, as in Khal Drogo. Drago, you say, what is that brown stuff on the elephant's, not the elephant, what's that thing called? The zebra. On the zebra's bottom. It's called a shadow stripe, Drago, and it's very well spotted by you. It's an interesting one because it doesn't occur on the plain zebra that are not in southern Africa. So if you go up into East Africa, they don't have that brown shadow stripe between the black and white stripes. And there the ears very clearly indicating displeasure. This is a very cross zebra. Let's watch this, see what happens when the other one approaches. It's a young stallion, that. And he's obviously been given a thump, quite possibly by one of the bigger mares, or by his father. And he's walking along with his ears flat back. Now he's happy. He's having a food. Having a food. I don't think that's English. Right, let's carry on. I'm quite looking forward to having a food later on, everyone. Ryan, you've had a food already today, haven't you? Ryan had one food of an apple. Hello, Impala. We're going to carry on, I'm afraid. We have seen a couple of you today. Right. I don't know how far Taylor's got towards Hyena Road. Let's go and find out if she's managed to have any progress with those lions.
I'm about halfway down Hyena Road from Buffelshoek Cutline. Now, I was just listening to Rexon on the radio. He's still on their tracks. He says they've crossed over Gowrie Cutline and they're cutting through the block straight towards Hyena Road. Now, I could have missed their tracks, or perhaps they are somewhere in this block. They have just graded the roads, so it's they're not as sort of flat as what they normally would be. The ground has been disturbed quite a bit, but making it difficult to track from a vehicle. Obviously on foot, when you've got your eyes looking straight down onto the ground, it's a lot easier. But I'm just checking a few of their favorite spots, so you may see me doing a lot of this today. It's trying to get rid of these tiny little flies that are trying to go up my nose and in my eyes, and I don't want them there. So we're just having a little scan. Like I'm tortoising along. I'm going that slowly, just letting the vehicle idle, and we're just scanning left and right. Like I said, if Rexon's on the tracks, that's great. We'll just keep an extra pair of eyes out, and perhaps we'll spot them like that. That would be really great. Now, it seems as though they were on the move, and while we were driving along, we saw a beautiful big herd of buffalo in the distance coming south, which is exciting. So I think by this afternoon, they'll hopefully be here. And if the Nkuhumas are around, I have no doubt that they will sniff those buffalo out and perhaps try and find them if they haven't caught one already. Maybe they already are sitting on a buffalo in a drainage somewhere, eating away peacefully. It's not very often that we get to... Oh, who do we have there? Oh, hang on. I just want to check. We've got one of the bee eaters. I think it's a white-throated. Can you see it still sitting there on the edge of that tree? Oh, no, you've got to go up a bit. Yeah, there we go. Let me have a look. Yeah, it looks like it. Hey, let me just double check. I haven't seen half of these bee eaters in such a long time. Maybe it's even a European. Please excuse me while I brush up on the bee eater knowledge. Right, you had a quick look at that. Now, I want you to just double quickly just find the pages in my book. Where are you? Let's go 260. Now I'm going to check. You're going to help. You're going to look with me. Just quickly finding the page, and then we're going to see which bee eater that was. Now, let's look. I don't think it. Let's have a look at the European. What do you think? I don't think it was that one. I don't think it was... And which bee eater was it? Did anybody get a screenshot of that? I'm just sorry. I'm scanning through the page here. I saw it, but I didn't really have a great look. Sorry, I'm just quickly checking it. Oh, I wonder what that was. What does everybody think? What is everyone's guesses on which bee eater we just saw? It had a very white throat, didn't it? It was very, very pale and was sort of pastel-y in color, which I know the white-throated are quite common for having that sort of pastel look to them. But I didn't see very much black. It'll be interesting to hear what your thoughts are. Like I said, it was far away in the distance. I didn't get a good look at it at all. I was too busy trying to grab my book. But perhaps... Oh, hello. Let's see what's happened there. No. Something. Hello, Rusty. Right, we're having an interesting sound. I'm just gonna drive and see if this noise goes away. Right. Hello. We're having a little bit of a Rusty. Rusty's making a funny noise all of a sudden. Okay, well let me just see. Are you gonna go away? No, why are you making that noise all of a sudden? Right, the gremlins have attacked while I quickly try and figure out what is wrong with Rusty and keep looking and trying to find out what that bird was, and perhaps please share some screenshots. I'd like to have a look and have a better look. But while I sort out the gremlins and Rusty, let's go back to James with the wildebeest.
Look at all the wildebeest, everybody. I'm just going to quickly tell them what I think's wrong with Rusty. It's the arm that holds up the bonnet that is now catching in the fan. That's what makes it sound like that. Everyone, there were sort of 8 or 9 wildebeest knocking around here. Let's try that again. And they've now headed off into the bushes, never to be seen again. Ah, there they are, Brian. Excellent wildebeest sighting. Bottoms disappearing. Well, if there are wildebeest here, we can be almost certain that there are no lions. It's amazing, isn't it? Excellent. Good. Right. We'll probably move on then. I think we'll move on, everybody. 8 or 9 wildebeest. No doubt the cow's pregnant. And hopefully to give birth to little baby wildebeest. And with any luck, they'll be as successful as they were last year. Certain. Daniel, you say, what is the best time of the year to see a gnu here in the Kruger? Sorry, just let me go back slightly. Daniel, I'm not sure that there is a best time to see a gnu in the Kruger. I would say if you were coming to look for general game and you wanted to see something like a gnu, then I would come during the winter months when it's a bit drier and the landscape's a bit more open. I think that will give you a better chance of seeing a gnu. But South Africa not known necessarily for their gnus. Many, many more of them in East Africa, and I think up into Botswana as well. This, of course, is Combretum apiculatum, is it? Yes, it is. The red bush willow, the most common bush willow that we get here. And indeed the bush willow from which this entire kind of vegetation type gets its name. It's called red bush willow woodland. But look at the roots here. And this is what the elephants get when they push them over. They love these things. It's like, I guess, elephant carrots, parsnips or turnips, neither of which I find particularly delicious. But the elephants during the winter time really like them. And what's interesting, let's just have a look. I'm going to walk along the length of this tree, because the roots, there are still roots in the ground there. This is a different tree. Now this one is dead. This one has actually been killed. Very few of them actually are killed. Most of them survive. And I think this is probably, I think that's a different tree. This one unfortunately met its end. Brian, this is like the bush, the pretzel of the bush. Can you see it looks like a bit like a pretzel?
It does.
Do you think it tastes like a pretzel?
Probably.
It's almost exactly like a pretzel, isn't it?
Exactly the same. Very salty.
Salty, delicious flavored pretzel. Yeah, not great. No. Better than the leaves, though. Better than the leaves. Brian's face, everybody, is, well, it's not like the face of a man who's just eaten his favourite cordon bleu recipe. Disgusting. Right, let's carry on. I really do feel more and more sorry for elephants, seeing what they have to eat. Oh, Fran, this is an easy question to answer. You say, what is the best tasting thing out here? Fran, a marula fruit is the best tasting thing out here. The marula fruits, which will come round about January or February in this area, maybe a little bit earlier, could be as early as December. They are delicious. Delicious fruits that come for about 3 weeks or so, and then they're gone again. They're followed not too far behind by the sour plum, which is delicious as well. It's like a reverse sour worm. You know those sweets, Fran, that you get, that you put in your mouth and you go, because they're so sour, and then they turn sweet. Well, the sour plum is the opposite. It's very sweet on the outside, and then it goes very tart. But after that, things kind of tail off quite precipitously. There's not a great deal of wonderful tasting scoff to be had out here. Unless, of course, you're prepared to hunt a warthog and then cook it over a spit. Then you will find it very delicious indeed. Termites, if you like peanut butter, we could eat termites for peanut butter. They're very fatty, good to eat. Certainly chimpanzees are a huge fan of termites. I haven't seen baboons eating termites here. It's quite interesting. And our hyenas, I've just driven past the 2 dens on Aubrey's Road. They unfortunately have not returned from their extended sojourn into the Magnoleti. Very sad, Brian. Hello, Angela. You're in Georgia, and you're wondering if there are any hyenas on this road. There's a fly in your lens, Brian. There we are. I've got rid of it for you. I'm so kind. Angela, yes, there are hyenas. We used to have a den here, and the den of hyenas is a termite mound, normally a very big cast of clay in which there are lots of holes, and the hyena clan will sort of centralize its activities around the den. They don't all live there. The youngsters and the females who've got youngsters will live there, and the rest sort of in an equal circle around there. But our clan moved north, which is not unusual. They went out of our traversing area, and that means we don't see them very often. If there's a kill, yes, we'll see them. At night, if you were to drive around here, you would almost certainly see a hyena. We find their tracks all over the road in the morning. So yeah, there are hyenas, Angela. A friend of mine got married in Georgia 2 days ago. I'm not sure which part of Georgia she got married in. It would seem that the problem with Rusty is not the simple fix of removing the flicking arm from the fan. Seems to be something more dire than that. Great. So you're going to be stuck with me for the next little while, everyone. They haven't found the lions yet, so we're not missing out on them. And if they do find them, we'll head over there as soon as we can. Let's have a look at Sydney's dam. Biggest what? I'm afraid, Louisa, I didn't get that. The biggest what species? Pest species. Pest, right. Pierre in Australia, as opposed to Pierre in Paris. Sorry, I couldn't resist that. You say, what is the biggest pest species that we get out here? Well, Pierre, depends how you define a pest. I suppose, for me, the biggest pest out here would be a mosquito, but, you know, that is entirely a natural part of the system. So anything exotic out here, there's so few exotic mammals out here, in fact, only one that I can think of, and that is the rat, European grey rat, Rattus rattus. They do occur every so often out here. That's mainly in human habitation, though. So I'd guess that would be the biggest mammalian pest. But otherwise, I don't think that there are a huge number of sort of exotic pests out here. Many sort of diseases that weren't necessarily found here. The most obvious one being bovine tuberculosis, which is obviously not something that is an African disease. Oh, fish eagle. Well spotted, Brian. So, Pierre, mercifully, yeah, I wouldn't say that there are any real major pest problems here. I suppose there are a couple of plants, something called the deadly nightshade, not deadly nightshade, the, what's it called? It's a cactus species called Queen of the Night, which is a pest. That is a pest. There's a waterbuck. Brian, off to the left-hand side of the dam is a waterbuck. We were asked about them this morning. It was Aaron in New Zealand, I think you said. You hadn't seen one for a while. There's one. Now, we thought there'd been a bit of earthworks going on at Buffelshoek Dam and Treehouse and Twin Dams. Well, the earthworks have gone on here. Would have done the Hoover Dam proud, I tell you what. If we do get some proper rain here, this is going to look like Lake Placid. Nice to see a waterbuck framed with rubble behind it, don't you think, Brian?
It is
It's lovely to see some old kitchen tiles behind the waterbuck. Hello, Olnik. A very appropriate question for the answer, for the question and, well, for the area that we are and the area where you are. You're in Michigan, and of course this could be described as Lake Michigan. It's almost the same size. I'm obviously talking absolute nonsense. It's nothing like the same size. But you also say, do we get crocodiles? Well, we've seen crocodiles here once. I've seen them once. That is under some dispute by the doubting Thomases of the staff, and indeed some among the viewers. But I saw a crocodile in this dam last year once, I think. Could have been.
Yes, you did.
Good. Brian agrees with
I was
me.
with you.
Yes, you were. But that is not to say that you wouldn't find a crocodile here or in any of the other water here. And the very quickest way for you to kill yourself out here in Africa is to look at water, say, there are no crocodiles in there, and then go for a swim. They are devious dinosaurs of the deep. And one must be very careful of them indeed, because they can move great distances over the night, slip into the water unnoticed, and an area of water where you haven't had a crocodile ever will suddenly be inundated with the danger of those vile reptiles. And I mean, I know I can be quite disparaging about crocodiles. Obviously they have a place in the ecology, but there is something just quite devious about them. Nothing in there, is there, Brian? Well, not that we can see. I certainly wouldn't go swimming in there. And I often tell the story of a chap called Chris Bacchus, who has made an amazing career of being a guide. And I think he works largely in Namibia at the moment. I think you'll find that he only has one arm. And Chris lost his arm to a crocodile in water that he had been past hundreds of times. And he went into the water with his guests, or to get something to show his guests, and a crocodile grabbed him. And he lost his arm. Okay, let's head across to Tayla. I think they're both mobile again. I'm not sure if Rusty's up and running, but let's find out about those lions.
The gremlins have attacked Rusty, I'm afraid. However, with the commotion that the gremlins have caused, Viam's fantastic eyesight spotted this magpie shrike sitting on a nest. So that's what you're looking at. You can see it's a very untidy nest, not the neatest that I've seen. So they make a cup nest like most of the smaller birds do, but sort of with lots of sticks and bits of grass poking out of it. And apparently they quite like to make the nests in acacia trees, which was new information to me. I thought that was quite something. Now, this is the female that is sitting on this nest, incubating, sorry, the eggs. And they can actually have quite a few eggs, anywhere between 2 and 6 eggs. However, I'm not certain as to how many eggs we have over here. And it is only the female that will sit on them and incubate them. The male, we may see, he was here not so long ago. He races around and looks for food, and he'll feed the female. So that's his sole role during this. They are monogamous, and he'll race around, collect all little insects and bring them back. And I don't think he'll be too long, because she was shouting just now. I'm sure she's probably hungry, hard work, sitting on the eggs. Now, obviously, these young, when they're born, they're completely helpless. They're born naked, and they need all the help that they can get from their parents, so they will then feed them. And it's amazing how nature can just provide an egg, and then the egg is hatched to a helpless chick, and then after 19 days, can you believe it, this magpie shrike chick will be ready to fledge. It's amazing how such a short period of time the development can sort of just fast forward, and before you know it, they're adults. Now, usually when we see the magpie shrikes, I don't know if you've noticed, you normally see them in a big group. They're quite gregarious. I was doing a little bit of reading the other day, and I noticed it actually seems to be the same way with quite a few of the the sort of gregarious birds that hang out in big flocks together. Now, once, however many chicks survive, once they've hatched and once they've fledged, they're not fed by the parents anymore. They're actually fed by the chicks from the previous the previous season. How amazing is that? But that is their role, is that they've got to feed the new chicks, and that's the sort of cycle. And that's possibly why we see so many together, is that maybe it is just one family that we're looking at and there are a whole lot of juveniles. Now, in this area in South Africa, most of the time these birds actually do their breeding towards January. Whereas here we seem to have got a bit of a luck. Like I said, they're normally only laying eggs from January. We're in October, so it's quite exciting. Though they did do a few studies where a few of the species of birds that they were watching, of course, did lay earlier. Like I said, there's always exceptions to every rule. And then I think, dark tranquility, what is it? The gremlins have got inside my mouth now. You can see Rusty's bonnet is open, waiting. So I'm so sorry. I'm a little tongue-tied this morning. So I think VM's having a good chuckle at me because I don't even think I could say my own name anymore. Well, dark tranquility. You wanted to know about the length of the tail on a magpie shrike. Does it serve any purpose? Now, normally it's usually the males that are beautiful. Perhaps can we get another view of, maybe we'll see that tail. Normally, it's the males that have those lovely long tails, and typically they would be used as breeding purposes. So, for instance, a pin-tailed wider, that's quite nice. During the mating season, the male gets a lovely long tail, very much like the magpie shrike, but then it loses those feathers when it is not breeding. And so, unlike the magpie shrike, though, they keep their tail feathers all year round. And it's both male and female. So I'm not sure exactly what purpose the length of that tail would supply, because I can't imagine it's a very good one. Imagine while they're flying, I'm sure it's a bit of an obstruction. And something that I've actually seen before is I've seen a serval leaping out of the grass. Now, this wasn't with a magpie shrike, but with a pin-tailed wider, as I was just telling you about. It leaped out of the grass, and this pin-tailed wider almost got away. But that lengthy tail that it uses to capture and entice all the females, unfortunately let it down. And the serval grabbed it by the tail and pulled it down into the grass and had a lovely meal. So I'm uncertain exactly what that purpose of the long tail is, other than normally for males for breeding purposes as a display. It'll be interesting to find out. Now, though, that we've got another nest, isn't this exciting? We've got Mr. and Mrs. Wahlberg. Now we can follow up on the nest of the magpie shrikes. And what I will do at some point, though, I don't want to disturb them too much, probably going to leave a rock or a branch or something on the road, because every tree sort of looks quite similar in this area, and we'll need a little bit of guidance and something that we're going to definitely, or I'm definitely going to keep checking up, perhaps whenever I can, whenever I'm driving. That's very exciting. Now, obviously, I can't go anywhere. I'm trapped with Rusty. Steph and Opar are coming to the rescue, though. Yes, so we don't want to break Rusty. I seem to be having very, very bad luck with the vehicles. I don't think I drive them too badly. I'm quite nice to stroke them. I wipe them down. I'm very kind to feed them. You know, I'm very, very kind to the vehicles. So I'm sorry, Rusty, that you're not feeling very well this morning. And she was doing such a great job. It was just yesterday that I said to David how powerful and great Rusty is feeling. I think I may have jinxed it, but hopefully it's just a little problem that Opar can sort out. I have no doubt of his mechanical capabilities. He seems to be the mechanical genius around here, and he sorts out all problems that nobody else can sort out. And they love it. What else do we have around here? Okay. Thank you, Joey in Australia and David in Napa. You confirmed that you indeed thought it was a European bee-eater that we're looking at. I'm going to get the book again. And the reason why let me just turn the game drive radio down quickly. The reason why I also agree with you, I didn't get a good look, but I want to have a look. I'm wondering if it possibly wasn't a juvenile that we saw, because when I initially saw it, and like I said, I only just saw it for a brief moment, and then I picked my book up and I took my eyes off of it. Let's go to 260 again. My memory is not too bad. And what I can also, I'm keeping an eye out because I think I can hear that male magpie shrike coming up. But if I see him land, we're going to go back and have a look at him. So if we look at this bee eater again, let's have a little zoom. I apologize, my hands are probably covered in oil and all sorts of strange things. What I saw was a very pale throat, which is initially why I thought, ooh, white-throated bee eater down here, but we clearly didn't have any of the black markings on its head. Now, and I did think I saw a little bit of a pale brown on the top, on the crown of their head as well, but we didn't see any of the blues or the greens coming through. So I think what we were looking at was perhaps a juvenile, someone that hasn't, or a bird that hasn't quite got its adult plumage just yet, which is quite excited. Is he back? Yes, I think so. Let's quickly go back. I think I can hear the magpie shrikes. There, did you see him? Or is it, no, she's gone now. That's bizarre. Where did you go? So I heard a bit of commotion. I heard the shrikes all chatting and calling away. And now she's got up and moved off of the nest. Maybe the male caught something fantastic and delicious and said, hey, you're going to have to come out to me and have a lovely dinner away from the kids one night. But like I said, oh my goodness, I'm hearing all sorts of things. I can hear an elephant pulling down a tree in the distance, but we are stuck here. Wouldn't it be nice if the Nkuhumas just came walking by? That's what I'm hoping for. I've got my fingers crossed, because we think they're somewhere around here. There's lots happening, but I'm trapped at the moment. I've got nowhere to go. I'm just having a little squiz. I'm really hoping that the shrikes, both of them, come back, because it was an amazing interaction that we had a moment ago, just while we were trying to figure out what was wrong with Rusty. That'll be quite exciting if they do come back. Well, now, I think Opa and Steph are not too far away, so while I prepare Rusty and we try and figure out what the problem is, let's go back to James and see if he's found anything interesting.
Hello everybody. We're driving speed because Universe, I'm afraid, has spat upon Tayla today. She's been working so hard to find those lines. Rexon has found them just south of where Brent and Jamie are snoozing it up at Inga's house at the moment. So we're driving there at quite a speed because we don't have too much time left, so we want to have a quick view of them before we head off to have our breakfast. While we drive there, I will tell you an amusing story. We drove into a clearing just around Impala Road, and I didn't see anything in it, and I became inspired to sing in an operatic voice, which I then did, and we came around a tree only to be faced with a fairly large herd of Impala and kudu, who took immediate fright. They in fact became so terrified that they ran and scattered in all directions. And in fact the sound I was making was so horrific to the animals that a scrub hare emerged from its form, which is what a scrub hare lives in. It's a little pile of sticks and leaves, and it headed off for the eastern horizon at roughly the speed of a startled bullet. So that's what we've been doing since last you saw us. Brian and I then thought we were very funny and fell about laughing for a little while. Meanwhile, Rexon has found the lions and we're on our way there. And they're going south at the moment, so I think it's going to be... Yeah, they are moving. I think they've been moving all afternoon. Did you get any of that, Brian? I got who asked the question, but Louise, it sounded like Donna's question was, which I don't really know how to answer. Could you give it again? Oh, thank you, Donna. Yes, you say you love the new names for the Birmingham boys. I quite like them too, I must say. I'm completely around to naming animals. I think it's a good idea, and let's just go through those again. If you happened to miss the fireside chat last night, the Birmingham boy, who used to be known as Birmingham boy number 1, is now called Nsuku, which means gold, and that is a sort of tip to the name we gave him with one stage, which was Blondie. He won't be blonde for long, so that's Nsuku. That's number 1. Number 2, Nana the warrior. It's Nhenha, Nana the warrior. And how do we recognize him again? Has he got the... No, he doesn't. I've forgotten how to recognize him. Hang on a second, I'll get back to you with that one. And then the third one, who's the one we've spent a huge amount of time with, that's Tino, the tooth. He has got his left lip looks like that, and so you can see his tooth all the time. So he's called Tino, the tooth. And then the next one is Mfumo, the authority, and he's the one with the great big crater in the left-hand side of his face. So that's Mfumo, Tino, Nena, and Nsuku. Those are the 4 Birmingham boys. I think they're lovely names. And we named them with a huge amount of consultation with the local people here. We've made sure that they are correctly spelt, that they're appropriate, and we are very satisfied with them indeed. And of course I think we were inspired to name them because our trip to the... So I am correct. So Nana is the one with the 2 scratches on his nose, is the equal sign on his nose. So that's how I would recognize him. I'm just listening to where the lions are going. Okay, best approach Twin Dams Road. We're on our way there as fast as we can. And we were inspired to name them, of course, because of that coalition of 4 males who we heard about, very famous coalition in the Mara. And they, of course, led by the inimitable Scarface with his missing eyelash or eyelid. Hunter, Sikio, ooh, buffalo. Sikio and, of course, Morani. Those are the 4 that we saw there. Well, no, we saw 2 of those. Quick look at those 4 buffalo. Very nice. We're going to carry on. We've only got a few minutes left of the drive. I don't know if we're going to see these things. They seem to be moving quite quickly. Can't hear what's going on the radio. Yes, I got absolutely nothing of any of those transmissions. We'll just carry on going. Certainly quite a lot of wind out here, Brian, wouldn't you say?
Very much so.
Little bit being on like on a sailing regatta. Get out of the way. Thank you very much. Are you all right there, Brian? Oh God. Now, let me find out from Rexon. Rex, I'm coming down Wahlberg's Eagle's Nest Road. What's the best approach? Okay, copy, thanks. So they are just near here. There's Inga's house, where Brent and Jamie are probably having their first kick of the morning. They're laying, well, not quite under their beds, but near there. And they were chasing buffalo here, according to Rexon. We have 7 minutes left of the drive, which will give us a little bit of time with them. We obviously need to know where they are for the afternoon, though. Now, this afternoon is a rehearsal again for the TV shows. I don't think it's a public rehearsal. Is that correct, Wizzy? So it's a private rehearsal, so I'm afraid no drive this afternoon. So doubly important that we find these lions. Well, Rexon's already found them. Okay, we're going to switch off here. There they are, just up ahead here. They're over here. Here we go. Orbs, I've only got 5 minutes left of drive, so you will make your way straight here. Right, they're just in here. I can hear Rexon moving. We've got them. Brian has spotted him. Should we go off? They're heading straight towards Ingwe Alley here. Let's go onto the road here. Hooray! The cubbies! Well done, Rexon. He was being totally single-minded about this. Here we are, there's a lion. Hang on, everyone. Just try and get into a position to actually see this lion. Not easy. There we go. Well done, Rexon, and bad luck, Tayla. It's always nice to see that, don't you think, Brian?
The usual story.
The usual story. So, one lioness, one cub, the rest of them coming up behind. Moving, of course, because it is so cold, and I think that's why they really struggled to find them today, because I think they've probably been moving the whole drive. There they come. Look. I suspect those cubs are very tired. Look how many there are. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They are all there, aren't they? Can everyone see 8? Oh, they're so sweet. These cubs are healthy. Yes, they have that one there on the right hand side. Does look, it's still got like looks like it's got mangy ears, but they still look fat and well, you know. And the bigger ones don't seem to have caught whatever that is on the back of those little ones' ears. That's definitely why he's scratching. And I think that's purely a function of how well they eat. There was one stage about, what was it, about a year ago, the Nkuhuma Pride was a very sad state of affairs. 5 lionesses, no babies. They'd just lost 3 of their number. Now, completely different. I'm afraid we've only got 2 minutes left, so I think we'll sit right here and just enjoy it, watch where they go. I think they're heading off towards Ingwe Alley, down possibly towards Philemon's Dip after that. I think they'll settle in a drainage unless they manage to find something to hunt. Only the 2 lionesses, is that right? No, here comes the third. She's coming just behind Rexon's vehicle. You can see a little bit mangy on the back of those ears, but certainly not around the whole facial area like those Styx cubs had. So I think these ones will be fine. That is one of the teddies though, isn't it? There's quite a lot of scratching, but in any animal there's a lot of scratching. We'll see how this progresses. All right, everybody, that is going to be it from us. A big thank you to Brian today. Thank you, Brian, and your thumb. Big thank you for Taylor for doing all the effort for these things, and Rexon, of course, and of course to VM and the final control. Mostly to all of you for coming along on this blustery, cold day. Thank you for staying warm and stayingly being with us. Remember, fortunately, no drive this afternoon. We'll see you tomorrow at 05:30. Until then, stay safe and happy. Bye-bye.